everybody. I think we are live. That's how I start every live stream. I think we're live. I'm never really sure. I have to wait until it starts to play and catch up, and then I'll know for sure, and then we can get started. Okay. Let me double check we've got audio here. And yep, there's audio. Okay, we can actually start. So just before we get started, just a reminder, make sure if you want me to see the question, I don't really see them unless you do the @Lachri Fine Art or @Lachri Fine Art. Thank you, Joseph. Make sure that if it doesn't highlight in orange, I almost never see those because it looks to me like in the chat that you guys are just talking amongst yourselves. So if you don't highlight it, probably you're going to get somebody else that answers you. I had someone get mad at me today or kind of give me a bit of a lecture that I never answer them. That somebody else does. Well, if you highlight it like we keep telling you, I'll see it. So make sure Tad could use an increase, or Tad could use an increased volume. Could let me see 1 second. Where's the volume here? How's that? Let me know if that's any better. I can also probably turn it up in OBS. Maybe? Let me know. Wonder if I need to just angle that better. Let's mess with this for a second. Angle. Whoops. I'll just mute it. That'll help. Sometimes I'm a genius. Okay, let me know if that's any better. Let's see. I could have turned it down because the mic is upside down, so I have a tendency to turn it down when I need to turn it up. Genius. Okay, let's see. Making sure. Am I recording? Oh, I wasn't yet. Thank you for that. So now I am recording. That is set up. What would I do if, like, you guys reminding me all of this stuff? Thanks, Max. Got it turned on. And are we ready? Oh, you know what I don't think I did? I think I still have this on autofocus. Let's go ahead and fix that. I think I get everything set up, and then I'm not. I'm never ready. I try. Let's see. Configure video. Yep, I had autofocus on, so I'll turn that off. That'll help. Okay. We'll get started in just a second here. It's about the same. You have it at max. Okay, let me turn that up again. See if that's any better. I'm afraid to turn it up too much and then blow everyone's ears out. Oh, I'm glad you like that on Phyllis. We're definitely with Patreon going to do more of those just like straight, not like an art chat, just straight tutorial, straight whatever project. I want to do that more often because that was definitely fun. Let's see if the volume is still okay. Stayed up till 3 in the morning to see. Let's see. Volume on iPad is just great. Okay, so I'm just going to leave this as is, and hopefully that'll work out okay for us. Tonight we are trying the Derwent Lightfast pencils. I've never even made a mark with these pencils. I have no idea yet how they are going to be, so this will be pretty interesting. I'm kind of excited to try this, and I'm hoping they're really good. So just for transparency, Derwent did provide me with this tin. They sent it. It came maybe, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, but I'm not being paid to promote their product or anything like that. I have free reign to give you all of my honest opinions, which you guys know I always do. So this time I was actually impressed. I think Derwent did a really good job of their release of the product this time. They sent 3 sheets of oh, there's even some on the back. So much information about this because when they released the Pro Color, we didn't find out, those of us who kind of did a demo or tested them before the official release and made videos, we didn't find out until right before, I think I found out maybe a couple of days before my video went live, what colors were even, what the Lightfast ratings were. So this is definitely, they did a great job. And these are all ranked Lightfast #1. There are no other colored pencils that are ranked that high. I'm kind of back and forth on that. I wish they had released all the colors. I guess from what I've heard, they're going to be releasing more colors next year. But they wanted them all to be the highest of the high. I'm okay with ASTM. They're using the ASTM scale. I'm okay with a 1 or a 2 on the Lightfast scale. These ones are all 1. So part of me is it's kind of overkill. And the other part of me is that does set them apart from other pencils. So, I guess it depends on how we want to look at that. I haven't decided if, Lightfast everything being a 1 is necessary. Again, I would rather have more colors, but I would rather have them all be 1 than like the pro colors where half of them weren't Lightfast at all. So I will take this for the price. They said on the paper that these run retail for the set of 36 was $144.99. Now, that sounds super high, but you have to remember retail is almost never what you actually pay. If you, like, when these are finally available in the US from Dick Blick or Jerry's or any of the other art retailers, it's going to be a lot less than that. Retail is always a lot higher than what you end up paying once those stores are carrying them. So, while when I heard that, it was like, ooh, that is on the high end. That's the retail, so we know that'll be less. I'll be interested to see what the actual amount is once they are released in stores. But right now you can get them from Derwent's website or Amazon too, and I have a link in the video description of that. So let's see. Nick said, kudos, waiting 2 weeks to play with them. Yeah, that's, yeah. Well, I had the pan pastels to play with too, so I had like 2 things I was really excited about. Sydney said, how many sets of colored pencils does one need? I have 3 to 4 sets and I still want more. Help my addiction. You need all of them. All of the sets. Let's see. D said, when I do shading for realism, I use complementary colors. For example, something is yellow, I shade with purple. Would you recommend using more colors to shade? I use whatever color, like if I have a reference photo that's really good and I like the colors on that, I'll use other colors. Complementary colors, definitely a good way to go. That will give you a beautiful look. Much better than just like jumping into black, which a lot of people, I know I used to do. I always just used to shade everything with black. Sometimes I still do, but now I try to use other colors in combination, so not always. Let's see. Kitsy said, I'm still waiting for an expanded Derwent drawing set. Oh, me too. I don't know if they have any plans to do that, but it would be nice. I love those pencils. Okay, so getting started. The tin, this is what that looks like. This one, I know the artist who did the tin, which was extra fun. I like when you know people. You're like, hey, I know that person. It was Jesse Lane. You did an amazing job on the tin of this. So mine, I already removed the plastic. It was like all wrapped in plastic. It's your typical tin where they just set inside. I normally with my pencils like to put them on in my 3-drawer pastel boxes because they're more convenient, but for now I'm just going to leave them in this. The colors so far, I haven't really looked through these. Let's go ahead. I've got another pad of paper so we can just kind of test some of these because some of these I was curious what the actual shade was going to be. Let's see how much this is showing on my camera angle. Okay, you're only going to see a little of that. Let's move that along. Okay, I wanted to just test a couple of these colors really quickly. So this one is Heather. That is a pretty color. And the paper that I'm testing this on, this one is by Dowler Rowney, which is funny because I don't typically like their products, but this paper I kind of like. It's 108 pounds, so semi-heavy. It's a mixed media paper, but it gave me, I figured it was really good for being able to tell how the pencil's stuck on there. One of the things Derwent said about these, they're oil-based, but they're supposed to be more opaque. I thought that was kind of interesting because typically the oil-based colors are a bit more on the translucent side. So they seem pretty accurate to what's on the, so far anyway, to what's on the back end. Nightshade, what is that? That looks like black. What color is that? That is the darkest purple. There's a separate black, right? That's interesting. I like that. Look, that is it almost looks black. Like you really have to look to see that has a purple tint to it. This is officially I can already tell that is going to be one of my favorite colors because that is dark and it's not straight black. I'm kind of excited about this pencil right now. That's kind of a big deal to me because like I was just saying, you know, you don't want to always just jump to black. This one's not. That's going to be a dark. Oh, I hope these blend well with the way that I blend. If they blend well, oh my gosh, that pencil alone, like I'm super excited. I'm such a nerd that I am that, like I've got goosebumps when I saw that. I'm so excited. That's how big of a nerd I am. Oh, I hope you guys can understand the nerddom. Okay, blue violet. I'm just looking at a few of these. There's another one. Look how dark that is. You can tell this one has more of a blue tint that's slightly purple. I like the darkness of these because that's one of the things with my other sets. Whether it be, and I think that's the biggest thing I'm going to be comparing these to right now is the Faber-Castell polychromos because those are in my other main oil-based pencil. So I kind of want to see, like, are there additional colors that I can add to my polychromos? I don't see myself ever switching completely, but I would like it if there were other colors that I could use in addition to that. I'm pretty happy with the colors on the back end seem to match because sometimes, yeah, these are pretty accurate. Don't worry, I'm not going to test all the colors. There's just a few I was interested. Ooh, pretty color. Okay, that color is getting used in this project. Okay, so this is good. I'm pretty happy about that. Now, I want to quickly see, I'm going to make a quick dark, let's just use that dark Nightshade color. I'm going to go over this. I'm going to make a couple more layers. Actually, I should sharpen this pencil. When these pencils come, just keep in mind with colored pencils, this is not actually sharp. I mean, you can write with it, but I wouldn't consider that sharp. This is a sharp colored pencil. And being that these are oil-based, they should hold their point. So we'll see if they're more crumbly or not. But by sharpening it, I'm allowing the pencil, I'm not pushing hard, but I'm allowing the pencil, the tip of the pencil gets into all the little nooks and crannies of the paper. And so that's going to help me avoid having a super grainy, gritty look. Now, the first time I blend out with the odorless mineral spirits, it's going to be grainy and gritty no matter what, unless these pencils have some kind of fairy dust magical stuff in them. We don't know yet. Haven't tried. But let's see. I'm going to just blend that. Actually, let's blend that up into the heather. Let's just try that really quick, just because I want to see how these are going to work. Let's see. What is the price? These are $144.99 retail, but like I said, we don't know what that's going to be when we actually see them in the art supply stores. It's always quite a bit less. Like when they're in the art supply store, you can get an idea if you go to dickblick.com or Jerry's Artorama, look at any of their art supplies and look at what they say retail is and then what they're selling it for. That gives you an idea of how much everything is discounted. So let's blend those. I'm using odorless mineral spirits. This one is my Gamsol. This was actually what was left over from my Smart Art Box project because I do like Gamsol. I don't buy it that often anymore. I usually just use Mona Lisa odorless mineral spirits because it's cheaper, but this is less toxic, so that's a bonus. Where is my brush? Okay, cup full of tons of stuff, and I should have a brush hiding in here somewhere. There it is. The brush that I'm blending with is the usual one. It's a Low Cornell. It's a Filbert number 8. And let me get a paper towel over here. Let's see. Pokeball Queen said, is there a huge difference to the other Caran d'Ache colored pencils? Comparing which ones? Like, I mean, well, I can't compare these to anything yet because, well, kind of to Faber-Castell, but I haven't tried them yet, so I don't know yet. But between Caran d'Ache, do you mean like the Pablos and the Luminance? I'm not sure there. JPC 13 Art said, I'm nerding out with you. I squealed when I saw that dark purple. I know, that's exciting. That's like, that will be probably a color I use in everything unless there's some horrible thing about these pencils. So let's start blending the heather. Ooh, that does blend pretty nice. Wow. Oh my gosh, look at that dark purple. Okay, if there has ever been a color that I wished I could find in a good Lightfast pencil, and it's been an ongoing complaint of mine, I want a good, true, dark, bold purple, and none of my sets have it. They're all kind of muted. Oh my gosh, this just made my day. I wasn't expecting, I didn't expect that. I'm really excited, because at first I was kind of like, well, I'm not sure why somebody would buy these pencils over, like, the Polychromos, which has the full set, is already out. That pencil right there. Like, even, I don't know if you can buy them open stock on their website, but once they're available through like Jerry's and Dick Blick, you're going to be able to get these open stock. I would definitely say at least get that pencil. So far, that's a huge winner for me. Like when I'm drawing flowers and I want this deep purple, it's always slightly muted. That's amazing. Let's try the blue. And it blends beautifully. Look at, that's like amazing coverage. So this almost to me reminds me, gosh, it almost is like watercolor pencils, how well that blends out. Oh, wow. Oh my gosh, I am nerding out so bad right now. I am so excited. Did not expect these. I'm wondering how much of this blending out that well is just this paper had got a lot of pigment on it. Yeah, these blend beautifully, the color. There's that, the blue, the deep blue, and then that's the Nightshade right there. That is like just a couple of layers. That's insane to me. Oh, yay, I'm excited. Now, the one thing, another color that I wish colored pencils would get that were Lightfast, blues, pinks, and purples. A lot of those colors have a tendency to be like, it's hard to get pigment that's really Lightfast for those, for colored pencils. So we're a bit more limited on the color, the Lightfast set. Like if you get, I know Prismacolor makes some that are those bold, like hot pink, but they're not Lightfast. I've yet to find a good Lightfast, and even in this set, the pinks in here, we've got that heather, the first one I showed you, and then we've got a red. So you are really limited, and this is an orangey red. This isn't even going to give you a bright red. You can see there. That's more orange. That's not, that's like super orange. So we don't have a true red in this set. You're good. Like if you were going to get this, I would probably not personally want to use just the colors in this set because I do feel there are a few like a red, a good, like a cooler red would be good. We don't have any true like magentas or violets. You've got the heather, which is that dusky violet, but not a deep color. So I wouldn't say that it's like the perfect set of colors yet. I'm excited to see what colors they come out with when they release the full ones next year, but assuming that actually happens. But this is definitely, and there are a few colors that are kind of, let me just show you really quick, that are so similar, which I might end up loving. I don't know. We'll see when I try. Okay, so here's white, and then look how close those colors are to each other. That's like good for cream tones. I think that's going to be good for some skin tones, but I mean, that's a lot of really neutral colors that are super close together. So I don't want to give the impression that this whole set has the most bold, vivid, bright colors in it, but there are definitely that purple right there. That is amazing. Okay, so let's go ahead and like put all these down and we will get started on the project. So this giraffe, I wanted to get a bit more creative with, and I want him to be in like a dark blue nighttime forest. And oh, hold on, I need to get my mouse. I don't have my monitor looking at me. Hold on, I can't even see my reference photos. Let me move stuff around. Yeah, I'm really excited to see. I mean, if they've got that purple, I'm hoping when they release more, if they do, that they get some more bright pinks. I really, really want that. Matthew wants to know if I will ever do a Prismacolor piece for people who don't have Faber-Castell. So here's the thing. No, but, unless I'm comparing it to another pencil. But you don't have to have the same pencils I have to use the same techniques that I'm using. The Prismacolor is going to be a bit softer, so you're going to have you're not going to get the detail as soft as I do, but like Jesse Lane, the guy who did the cover of this one, is a good example. He normally uses Prismacolor, and he gets amazing. He works huge, huge pieces, so that's how he's getting that much detail, or part of how I should say. But that's a lot of people do, and you're going to use. You can use the same techniques I'm using on Prismacolor. When I switched from Prismacolor to Faber-Castell, I didn't really change much as far as technique goes. So you can follow along with your Prismacolors just fine. I'm not going to use them because I get frustrated when my pencils keep breaking and I have to sharpen every 5 minutes. And I used to have the original Prismacolors when they didn't have all of the quality control issues. And so I was used to them then. And so it's hard for me to go from what I expected them to be to what they changed into. It's just frustrating for me. But, so no, you probably will not see me doing full tutorials with that. But it doesn't, you can still use my techniques here for those. Okay, let me get caught up in a couple more of these questions. What is the first thing I'm going to draw with this pretty purple? Actually, I was going to use a lot of blue in the background. I think I'm going to be including some purple in there too. Where did my mouse is not registering? There we go. Okay. Well, this isn't the color I wanted. Hold on. I'm missing a photo. There we go. This one looks a bit more accurate. I just want like this dark tree, like I want trees. I'm going to put fireflies in this. I'm going to just experiment with layering. It doesn't matter to me so much that this comes out being the perfect piece ever. And no, I would not judge them poorly for me not put, like if it doesn't come out good because of my bad design, I'm not going to judge Derwent for that one. And I realize that going in, that's a possibility because I'm kind of experimenting here. What I'm testing for, how can I layer? How can I blend? How soft can I get those backgrounds? And then when I get onto the giraffe, how easy can I get the detailing? It does appear that these are fairly opaque, so it looks like Derwent is probably telling the truth there. I mean, not that I'm saying they're lying, but that seems true. Dixie Art, the paper that I tested originally was, or that I showed those tests on, oops, it was this one. It's a mixed media by Cachet by Daler-Rowney, which, like I said, I don't usually like their stuff, but I'm kind of liking this paper. I may try a full colored pencil piece on it. It's nice and thick. I'm kind of liking how that one is. This one here is the Fabriano Artistico Extra White Hot Press 140 pound watercolor paper. I'm down to my I'm getting into the last of that batch before I switched over to Arches. I was going to use Arches for this and then decided that probably wouldn't give me a fair idea of how this compared to Faber-Castell just because I'm so used to this paper. So I decided to grab one of my old from the old batch so that I could give it a more fair comparison. Let's see. Have I ever had Have you ever had results in a project that weren't something you had in mind but you liked anyway? All the time. Oh my gosh, all the time. Matthew said, will you ever do a prism? Okay, I answered that one. Also, if I missed your question, like, and it's been a long time and you see me answering people who asked after you, if it was highlighted in orange, just ask it again. I'm not, realistically, I'm not going to catch everything. I try to, but sometimes I miss them. It's not that I'm trying to ignore you or be a jerk. It just happens. Catherine said, will there be a larger set of these pencils? It's supposed to, they were supposed to originally, I think, have 76 or 72, something like that. And then they backed off on the release. They did more testing with Lightfast and decided, you know what, we want these to be more Lightfast. So part of me is like, man, I wish they would have just released the ones that were marked a 1 and a 2, because I want all the, you know, I'm happy with a 2 on the ASDM scale. And the other part of me is like, you know, I kind of respect them for wanting it to be the best. So I go back and forth on how I feel about that. But yes, they're supposed to release more. Where did I get my reference photo? This reference photo is one I took myself. It was one of our Patreon reference photos. So if you were a patron, oh God, I want to say it was like 2, 3, 4 months ago, you've got this one already. And I will end up uploading this for everyone to download when my full video of this comes out. So you guys will all get this one. Julia said, are the Fabriano Artistico traditional white hot press watercolor papers good for colored pencil and graphite? Graphite. Perfect for graphite. Colored pencil, I'm leaning, if it's, you said hot press, right? Wait, traditional white hot press, yeah. I'm leaning towards, I like it for graphite, but colored pencil, it works well for colored pencil, but I have to adjust my techniques a bit because it's weird the way that the pigment kind of sets. It wants to sit on top of the paper and not soak in quite the same. It was really weird. I used it for the, well, not that specific one, but the newer batches are just a little bit different than what they used to be. For water media, like watercolor pencils and Inktense, I'm leaning towards arches. I reserve the right to change my mind. Let's see. Pokeball Queen said, are you... Sorry, my glasses are like, I'm at the wrong angle and I'm having a hard time reading where I've got my screen positioned. Oh, you're really nice for wanting to answer all of our questions. Yeah, I really do. I don't want to ignore anybody. I've been accused before of only answering patrons. I've been accused of only answering people who use Super Chat. I forget I even have that. Like, you notice I normally don't bring it up because it's not a big deal. Like, I'm not going to... It's not the case. I like to answer everybody when I can catch it. So why are we changing paper? I forgot. Well, for this project, that paper was just for me to test. It's just a pad of paper I had for testing. This one is the Fabriano Artistico. This is the paper I always used for colored pencil. I've been using it for years, but I'm liking the arches a little bit better. Fabriano changed the formula, and I'm not liking it as much as I used to. Can you blend them with Faber-Castell? Absolutely. All of your wax and oil-based pencils, so your Prismacolor, Luminance, those are your wax-based, and there's other wax-based, or your Pablos, your, what are there, Lyra Rembrandt, Faber-Castell, these, the Pro-Color, all of these pencils, all wax and oil-based pencils, you can happily mix together. They all play really nice together. Max said one of the last videos you said you are going to do a 12 pencil challenge. What pencils will that be? And will it be a live stream? Probably not a live stream. Probably, I think I'm going to do it with the Faber-Castell polychromos, but maybe eventually I'll do it with all the brands. It'd be kind of cool to see what, like, the 12 set, that most brands sell a 12 set, just package of those colors, and I would like to see, like, what can you do with the 12 set? How many colors can you mix with that? Phyllis said, happy with his giraffe, just don't call it a zebra. When I drew it out last night, I called him a zebra. Like, my husband came in, I'm like, oh, I'm drawing out a zebra. I can't get these animals right. Why do I mix those? How do these compare with the Pro Color, Mitchell? I don't know yet. We'll see once I get started, because those little color samples I did were the first time I've ever made a mark with these pencils. So let's see what the colors. I've got to pick a color theme on here. I wasn't sure when I came up with the idea, the design, because we don't have a ton of blues. So I'm going to actually do another quick test and see how these other blues, there was one I didn't test in here. Let's see, blue, violet, nightshade. Oh wait, I did test them all. Okay, so I'm thinking blue, violet. I don't know, I kind of liked the warmer blue, but I've only got one like that. Whereas these colors, the purple, the blue, and the nightshade, I'll probably go with those just because, and then we've got an actual violet. I think I'm going to go with these guys just because, and let me double check. So here is, that one is violet. And then I think Nightshade was the super black. Yeah, and then we've got, okay. So I'm going to use these colors, and this is the one of the complaints that I'm going to have about this set. I'm having to change the colors that I would like to do on this because this set, like if this was the only set you owned, you are limited. You're only going to get so many colors, and they do blend, they do mix. You can layer and change that, but that's definitely something I'm already, you know, just getting started. I'm adjusting, I'm shifting the colors that I planned on using, and these will look fine because it's your values are more important anyway, how dark your darks are, how light your lights are. But it was not my original intention. So let's see how I want to get started. I think... Well, you know what? I'm just going to do a solid color for the background. Like, well, not solid. I'm going to do a gradient, and then I'm going to draw trees on top, and that'll give us an idea. Like, most pencils, when I use the Faber-Castell, I'd have no problem getting, like, dark black trees in the background, because this will be a nighttime scene to show up on top. Let's see if that works. So we'll keep it easy, and I'm going to do, I want it to, parts to be light, so I'm going to use this mid-ultramarine. I'm using this one because it's a cooler blue, so that one works well with the purples and all of those. And I want it to be a little bit lighter around this area, and then kind of fade like a vignette, darker around the edges. Fred said, how can you find values without editing a picture and turning it into black and white? A lot of it is practice. I mean, it's not like there's a number. This is a value 5. This is a value 4. You're just going to kind of get a feel of getting things darker, getting things lighter. But there's not, I'm not really sure how to answer that one, honestly. Practice is going to be my answer. Okay. 27 minutes in, and I haven't even touched my drawing. So the paper, actually, I'm going to put that back. I changed my mind now that I decided where I want my lights to go. What I've got here is glassine. This is archival, acid-free. I can rest my hand without having to worry about messing up or getting oils from my skin on the paper. I need to sharpen these. These feel very, like, buttery. They feel to me a lot like Prismacolor, honestly. More so, I would say, than my Faber-Castell. Like, they're smoother going down. That's interesting. I'm really interested to see, once I get to the giraffe then, how easy it is to get detail. Because the first time I tested Pro Color, they kind of felt like that to me, like, oh, I'm going to have a hard time getting details. But once I actually started using them and started layering, I was able to get a lot more than I thought I would. They have a very different feel. And I'm glad, because I was afraid that these were going to just be another Faber-Castell. And then I was like, well, why would somebody buy these over those? If, you know, most of the Faber-Castell, there's only 2 in the set that I pulled that aren't Lightfast. So why would somebody buy those that have 120 versus these if they're not really different? And they do so far. I definitely feel a difference. They feel really, really like buttery, and I am liking that. I'm not going to say yet whether that means they're better or worse, just there is a difference, and I'm liking that. They feel more like Pro Color to me going down, which is a good thing because I love the Pro Color. You know, minus the not being Lightfast on some of those colors. Let's see. Jose said, what do you think of using white acrylic paint markers for graphite drawings? I never had great results. I never really liked how that looked. Like, it was a weird, although I say that, but I've seen where other people did something that was more stylized and it looked pretty cool. It's not for me. But I guess I have seen where it looked cool. So I wouldn't like judge someone negatively for it. It should be fine. I mean, graphite is very slick. So you've got to make sure that paint marker is made. Make sure it's archival because some of them aren't. So make sure it's going to be Lightfast. It's not going to yellow over time. And you might want to contact the manufacturer of whoever the paint marker is that you're using and find out if that's going to be compatible over the graphite. Like if it's going to stay long term or if you're going to have problems with it flaking over time. You should be okay, but like I've tried gel pens over graphite and it gives an interesting, we'll say it's interesting look. It wasn't what I was trying to accomplish. Like I was like trying it for whiskers and stuff and it was like, oh, that is obvious I used a gel pen or a marker over this. So I didn't love the results that I got, but I have seen other people do things that were really stylized with it and it looked cool. So I guess it depends on what your goals are, but I would contact whatever paint marker you're considering, contact the manufacturer, and if they're any good, they will get back to you and tell you whether or not that's something they recommend with that product. And if one paint marker, if they say that they don't recommend it, it doesn't work, that doesn't mean that none of them will. Just keep, you know, try a few other companies and see if any of theirs will. Heather said, I nerded out when the art gear guide said there was a color with my name. You know, most of the Derwent colors, I know Heather is in the Pro Color too. They've got a lot with your name. Illusion, I'm not saying that right, and I apologize. Said, this is so random, but will you please do a Hocus Pocus theme piece for Halloween? Yeah, it's way early, but it would be a amazeballs. I probably will do something for Halloween. I do want to get something themed this year. I'm not sure that it would be Hocus Pocus, but definitely there will be pumpkins and possibly bats or cats. Probably bats. I love bats. I didn't know this, so totally random. We went to a wild bird store where you can get like bird feeders and stuff. They have boxes that you can put in your house that are houses for bats, like for them to. I didn't know that was something people bought, but I guess they're really good for keeping away bugs and stuff, or for keeping that down. So I thought that was really. I didn't even know people did like a bat house. I thought that was neat. So random. Let's see. How many pencils are in this set? There are 36, I think. Hold on, let me double check before I give you wrong. I'm pretty sure it was 36. Yes, 36 colors. Although a lot of them are very neutral, very much the same. There aren't that many like super colorful and bright ones. Whoops, and that scrolled too far. Let's see. Scrappy Cat said, do you use a wet brush just to take some up and then apply to paper? Not with this, no. I'm dipping it in odorless mineral spirits and just going right on top of the pencil, and that's where you see it dissolve out, so it almost looked like watercolor with these, which is really cool. Do I buy my art supplies only using the money you get from selling your art pieces? No, I mean, all of the art, like what money I make from YouTube or Patreon, it comes from that. Some of the supplies, like my Frederick's canvases, most of those, I just get from Frederick's themselves because of being sponsored. Most, not all, because I actually do end up buying, like when I want individual pencils that I run out of, I could contact Derwent and have them send them to me, but I don't know, I feel like weird asking for a bunch of free stuff. They're really good about that, providing just knowing that I'll make videos of their products. But most of those were provided, and then a lot of them, like all my other colored pencils, I buy myself individually from usually Dick Blick or Jerry's, depending on who's having the better sale, or if there was something I wanted from one site that the other didn't have. I shop from there a lot. So yeah, I mean, it comes from, well, Patreon mostly, but Patreon and YouTube are what pay the bills and buy the supplies. So I'm pulling the light color out, I think, quite a bit farther than what I want it to be, because it's much, much easier, typically, hopefully the same with these pencils, to darken something up than it is to make it lighter. So if I go too far out with it being light, that's fine. Because like right now, this looks like a daytime sky, which is not what I'm going for. But I do want a bit of a glow. Like I'm not going for something supernatural here. So let's get the light in there. And seeing how dark those other blues went, I think I need to get a decent amount of the light blue on first. Now I should be able to, and this will be interesting, to light it up with white. I'm curious to see how opaque the white is in this pencil, because usually with oil-based pencils, I hate the white. Both for Polychromos and Lyra Rembrandt, they're very, very translucent, so not really good unless I'm working on sanded paper, then they're wonderful. But on this, not so much. Oops. Oh, I missed a lot of questions. Here we go. Move Along said, why is it bad to get skin oil on your art? Of course, it's not ideal, but does it make the color fade, discolor? How worried should I be about it? I would avoid doing it as much as possible. I mean, over time, that helps. It causes, or from what I've been told, it'll cause the paper to start to degrade a little bit faster. It can cause some problems that way. So it's just a good idea. There's like an acid in our skin. It tends to be more acidic. And so you don't want, I mean, we're using acid-free paper and acid-free everything. We don't want the acidity from our skin or the oils getting on there and causing problems later on down the road. I mean, over the years, there have been plenty of times before I knew about all of that I just rested my hand right on it, and I mean, my hands aren't oily, but that's still just good practice for keeping your artwork in good condition. Would I still consider doing surrealistic paintings or drawings? Yeah, I still do them sometimes. I like that. Matthew said, do you have any tips or tools that I can use for blurry backgrounds without the paint thinner? Just light layering. Light layering. You can try using... and I don't know if it would work for these pencils because I have not tried that yet, but you can use colorless blenders. You can use, and those are just like a pencil that it's just the wax. It's not the pigment. You can use those. and or just like I said, just lots and lots of light layers. I know an artist who does these amazing, detailed, super blurry, like really good work, but she just does lots and lots and lots of light layers. It takes a lot longer, but it is possible. Valerie said she's looking across the street and the neighbors have a bat house. How did they not even know that existed? Someday when I have a house, I want a bat house. I should research that though. It may just sound way more cool. I don't know if like, because I know they can get rabies and stuff. I don't know if I'm just inviting disease, you know, I don't know. I need to look into the logistics of that, but just from hearing it, I thought that sounded pretty cool. Although my mom would probably never come to visit, which is a bad thing in my case because I love my mom, but because she thinks that bats are horrifying. Peggy said it will be interesting to see if you need to lay down less pigment to get better results after blending. Yeah, definitely. Scrappy Meyer said, I have made several bat houses. I painted them all purple and gave them to a family. That is so cool. I just got even more excited about a future potential bat house that I could paint and make because, yay. Baby Panda said, what do you use and how do you make very fine whiskers on kitties? I can never get mine fine enough. I use a product called, it's from brushandpencil.com. It's called Touch-Up Texture and Titanium White. They're two different products and I mix them together and then I use a fine liner brush and I just paint on the whiskers that way. That's been my favorite way. The way that I used to go when I'd have whiskers, I would take a wax-based pencil, usually my Luminance, and push really hard, like get it really sharp and push hard where the whiskers were going to go so that wax, it would get the wax and it would kind of indent the paper a little bit. And I try to work around it as much as possible. But because I use odorless mineral spirits, some of that color will always blend into the white. But because I put white down first, it protects the paper from getting too dark or too stained. So that was my old way, and that works. But I love the Touch-Up Texture Titanium White from Brush and Pencil. That is amazing. Like, you can get such nice light areas that I always was struggling to get with colored pencil. That is one of like my favorite things to happen in colored pencil in a really long time. Other than, well, I guess my next favorite is this Nightshade color. I may not be thrilled about not having enough bright colors in this set, but oh, that's a good one. Do I sometimes blend only using burnishing? I used to. I don't. Well, okay, yes, sort of. For final layers, I sometimes do that, but not often because the pressure that it takes to push down, I have arthritis in that hand, and it starts causing a lot of pain to where I can't even draw. So I have to keep with a light hand as I work. So the movement, the motion, as long as I work with a light hand, doesn't hurt me. But if I start pushing hard, which is what you're going to do with burnishing, that does start causing a lot of pain for me. So not personally. I did used to, though, and that is a valid method to blend. It's just harder to control, I think. It's easier if you work in light layers to control as you work up to the color that you're going for. Boz said, can you use pan pastels for the background instead of colored pencils? Yes, you can, and actually a lot of artists do and get great results that way. I haven't tried it yet. I'm sure I will, but yes, a lot of artists I really love do that. Do I think these would work well on toned gray paper? You know what? Let's actually find out. That's a really good question. Let me grab some toned. I don't have gray. What do I have? I think I've got some black. We'll just use the black to see how opaque these are on that paper. Let's stop and do that. Hold on. Okay, because I am actually curious how opaque. That is a really good question. So this one, it's Strathmore 400. It's the Art Jane, I don't know. So let's go ahead, oops, get rid of that one. Let us find out. So there's that light blue. You can see the color that well, if the camera picks it up, the color that I have there versus here. Let's push just as hard. It just kind of looks like a grayish white. I mean, it's not super opaque. These colors are so dark, they're hardly going to show up. Let's try that orange color. It's fairly muted, but it works. So these should work on, like, if it was a light gray tone, I think you'd be fine. If it were a, like in this case, the black, I mean, it doesn't really show up because oil-based pencils have a tendency to be more translucent anyway. A wax-based usually is better, but the lighter colors, like that one actually looks really good, tend to work better. Try out a couple more of these. I mean, you can see it. It's just not super bold. There's one other one I wanted to try. Oh, let's try the yellow. Yeah, yellow over black kind of turns green, which is typical. But I mean, over they're semi. I mean, I want to say that seems almost similar to the polychromos. I'll have to do a full comparison of that. That seems a bit kind of close on the black. But if it was a gray, if it was a dark gray, probably wouldn't be my first choice. A light gray, I think you'd be fine. Check out the Bat Cruise in Austin. Largest migration in the U.S. Oh, that sounds cool. Rick's artwork said, would you make that your husband? Would that make your husband Batman? He wishes. My husband's a huge comic book nerd, so yes, let's go with that. When we moved from California to Texas, we had to get a larger moving van, and I got rid of all my furniture that I had back there and had to get new furniture out here because we had to fill the entire gigantic moving van with big, with his boxes and boxes of comic books. Mara Black said, you didn't protect the edging of your zebra, but should someone new consider doing that? I don't on this. Unless I'm airbrushing, then I'll use like either Frisket or a masking fluid. But on this, I don't think it'll be a problem. I just want to be careful with it. If I don't have to use masking fluid or Frisket, I don't want to because it's kind of a pain. So if I can avoid it, I will. But you could. This doesn't, like I said, unless I'm airbrushing the background, I personally wouldn't. Lost that. Christine said, how did you become a master of all trades when it comes to art mediums? Where did you start? I started with graphite and charcoal, a little bit of watercolor. Like I would just use watercolor for a background. I was never competent with like actually painting in watercolor, but I would use those, and you just learn values. It doesn't really matter which medium you're working in. Like you can easily go, like a good artist can go, once you get good with, let's say graphite, when you switch to another medium, yeah, you're going to spend a few months learning that medium, but it's not going to take you, like if it took you 5 years to really get good and understand your values with graphite, it's not going to take you 5 years to get good with another medium. You're going to probably spend a few months to a year to kind of get an idea of how to blend and all of that stuff, but it's not as hard because the hardest part with art is understanding values, when to make something light, when to make something dark, when, like your design process, that's a big deal. Your contrast, composition, all of those I think are the harder part of art to learn. So it really doesn't matter which medium you're learning it in, it's going to apply to all the mediums. So all you have to do once you learn one medium and you get to where you're comfortable with all of those things, there you go. All you have to do then is just spend, a few months, a year, whatever, learning how to blend. So let's say you went from graphite to acrylic. Yeah, you do have a learning stage there where you've got to learn how to blend the paint, how to manipulate it, how to mix color. But that's not going to take nearly as long as it did to learn to draw in the first place, to learn your composition and your values and your colors, all that stuff. Well, I guess if you worked with graphite, you didn't learn much about color yet. But it's not hard to move from one to the next. That's why you'll see me go so often. Like I used the watercolor pencils for the first time, and it was one of my favorite pieces, and I'd never used them before. Inktense, I did one with Smart Art Box. That was the first time I ever used Inktense when I decided to do a full project after Derwent contacted me and they sent me the full sets of Inktense when they found out I liked them. I think I did a flamingo, and I have him still. I love that flamingo. Like within a few pieces, I got to where I really knew it was easy to manipulate it into doing what I wanted, even though I'd never worked in anything. I mean, Inktense even isn't, it kind of like watercolor, but not that close. So, sort of. We'll go with sort of. Depends on how you look at it, I guess. But I already understood values. I understood when to make something dark. So I don't ever be afraid to try a new medium, thinking, oh, it took me 15 years to learn how to use acrylic painting. It's going to take that long to learn oils. It won't. It absolutely won't. It'll take you a couple months usually. That medium is pretty easy to go back and forth between. It'll take you a few months if you're really focusing, longer if you don't paint that often, but it'll take you a bit to get used to the medium. But what you've learned in values and contrast and all of that is going to apply across the board. You'll get better at blending and stuff over time, but your artwork should still be strong right off the bat if you have a decent grasp of that. So with art mediums, it's not one of those things where people talk about that saying, what is it, to be a jack of all trades is to be a master of none. That doesn't count with art mediums. Like art in general, yeah, I'm not going to be good, like amazing with art and amazing with violin. I'm I can play violin, but it's not as good as I can paint and draw because I put more effort into this. But going from medium to medium, it's all art. It's all semi the same. So it's not a hard thing to transfer from one medium to another. Let's see. Thank you, baby pandas. Also, you have a really cute name. Megan said, above referred to the art gear guide. He has a great review and decision of colors that made. And I'm guessing he knows the cut, made the cut. Hopefully we're coming in 2007. I don't think I'm reading that right. But I do like the art gear guide. He's really cool. I actually want to do, we've talked about doing some live streams together. I just scrolled too far. Pokeball Queen said, does it happen to you that the white colored pencil always have the shortest lifespan, or is it a sign of it being used too much? It's a sign of, I wouldn't say being used too much. It's just, we go through white quick. We use white a lot because a lot of us will use white to blend, almost like a colorless blender. Plus we're using it to lighten colors and adjust our values. So it's just really that we're using it so much. But yeah, whenever I get colored pencils, I always get extra white because I know that is the color I'm going to go through the most. White and black, I would say, because I'll use black for shadows and then put color on top, although I'm thinking this is going to be my new dark color that I'll go through a lot. What color pencil brand can I buy that are wax-based like Prismacolor but not as expensive as Luminance? No. I don't have, there isn't one that really is going to compete with those that I like or would recommend. Those are pretty much it. I mean, I like the wax-based, the Derwent drawing are wax-based, but they're very limited colors. You're going to use that in combination with another set. So there's only, I want to say 24 in that set. So not a ton. They're really nice pencils, but yeah, they're, the only wax-based pencils I've used that I really liked really are the Luminance right now. Or, I mean, you can use, if you're not worried about Lightfast and you don't care about sharpening your pencil down to a nub, trying to get it sharpened once, Prismacolor, only on some colors, I guess. Prismacolor could work, I guess. I mean, plenty of people use it and like them. But there's not really a brand, unfortunately, in between that I personally would recommend that I know of. Hopefully, it'd be nice if more companies started making them. Hi, Faith. Faith said, do you put every detail as possible on the base sketch? No. I put what I think would be convenient or helpful for me, but that's about it. So I'm going to go through this quick. I'm actually going to get messy because usually with colored pencils, if you want to avoid, like you can see my start and stop points on some of this, if you want to avoid that showing up in your work, you want to work in tiny little ovals and work your way through really slowly, which is super slow. I'm not going to do that here on this side. I'm going to start getting messier. This side, I was really, like you can even see here where it's darker, where I put more layering. I'm going to start getting messy just so that we can test, do these pencils, because I know the Derwent Pro Color, I was able to be sloppy and it all blended super smooth. So let's find out if that's going to be the case here. And I'm just going to get messy and go really quickly over this. I've got a few lines that I don't like. So we'll see how that works. Plus, I'm going to switch colors. Getting a little bored. Okay. Mara Black says, while you were answering my question, I was nodding my head. Did you see? Totally saw. I definitely saw. I've got a camera right outside your room. So, I mean, if you see it, just know it's mine. So, you know, it's not creepy at all. It's just me. Max said, will you try the Albert, I can't even say that, Faber-Castell watercolor pencils? Yes, I do want to get a set, but my budget does not allow for that right now. Because, yay, taxes are due again. Benjamin said, is breakage the only issue you have on Prismacolor? No, I don't like, they're too waxy for my taste. That doesn't mean they're bad, because how waxy they are, a lot of people prefer that. So I'm not going to discount them for that. That's just personal preference. They get more wax bloom, which you can spray them when they're done to prevent the wax from continuing to bloom, but that was always a little bit annoying. They break. Well, even at the best of time, they are very brittle, so it's hard to get finer details for me. It's like the lead-out. It's kind of like trying to do detail with Derwent drawing pencils. They're so thick that would not be the ideal choice for that. I'm going to go with blue violet first. And there was something, oh, the Lightfast issue is kind of a thing. Like, so many of those colors are not Lightfast with Prismacolor. Joseph says, flying foxes are adorable and false advertising. Molly said, what size is this piece? You know, I don't know. It's about, the paper itself is probably somewhere around an 11 by 14, but I don't have the exact measurements. It's smaller than that, but not by a lot. Where did that go? Too far. Oh, thank you, Megan. That's the problem with Super Chat. When it comes up, I don't see it until after the fact, so I sound like I'm being rude and didn't thank you. Because I scrolled to try to get everyone's questions. Or I keep it scrolled up. Let me see. Here we go. Answered that one. Brent says, it's my fault that he had to buy the Inktense. I will take the blame for that happily. Because I know they made me super happy, so I'm going to guess they make you pretty happy. Neil said, I am planning to record with my iPhone and using iMovie to edit. A lot of people do that. I mean, it's a decent way to get started. Your phone may get really hot, and I know sometimes they'll want to like stop and reset themselves, so just watch and kind of check every so often that it's still recording, but a lot of people start out doing that. That's a fair way to start. Clary said, do you think charging $250 for an 8x10 drawing is too much? I work in realism. No. I mean, I've not seen your work, so I can't judge by that, and I don't know like what your how much demand is there for your work right now? As you build more of a name for yourself, there will be more and more of a demand, but $250 is not, if you're, depending on the skill level you're currently at, no, I don't think that's too much. Joe said, and we see how long it really takes to do a sky in colored pencil without speeding up. Yeah, oh my gosh. As you can see, this is really slow. I'm not going to finish this tonight. There's no way, but we get an idea. I'm going to go through really fast here too, and if it turns out to be a mistake that these don't blend out super, super smooth, where I should have gone in, smaller circles, then that's my fault, not the pencils, but we'll at least find out which is the case. But I want to blend at least the first layer of the background so we can get an idea of how these go. These are going down really smooth. This, by the way, see how I'm holding the pencil to the side like this and how I'm doing these big sections? Normally, I would say don't work this way. This would give you like hot spots, like you can see here where I stop and start, and it's not going to be super, super smooth normally. But I'm wondering, some colored pencils, when you blend with OMS, it'll all blend out smooth. So we're going to find that out on this one. And like I said, if they don't blend out smooth, I don't blame the pencil for that. I blame my using really poor technique, because this is bad technique. This is not typically how, if it works, I'm going to be super excited. But if it doesn't work, it's my own fault because I wanted to go through quickly. But this kind of sketchy look that I'm doing normally gives you not the greatest results. So I'm going to be a little bit sketchy here where the giraffe's mane is. Is it called a mane on a giraffe? Or is that more of a horse thing? I don't know. And I'm just going to go over that. Every time I think of that Nightshade color, I get so excited. I cannot believe somebody finally made a pencil that dark and that purple. That is going to make sense. Mostly the main time that I use that color that I really need it is on florals. Like, I always want that color, and none of my pencils, I don't have a single pencil that will give me what that pencil did. Let's see. Tammy said, months or years to get used to this? LOL, I'm in week 1. Am I doomed? No, and some people are going to be way faster than others. Some people are not. It's the speed that it takes, like, that you're going to learn doesn't necessarily indicate how good or bad you'll be at it either. So if you happen to take a long time, don't worry about it, but it may not take you that long either. Some people will just pick something up really, really quickly. It depends on the individual. But I do say, from all the years, I've been teaching for about 20 years, and all the years of teaching, I've never seen how quickly someone picks up a medium, how fast they learn how to do it, or how fast they work in general, be any indication of how good they'll be at it. Some Some people will take a little bit longer to really get good with it. Some people are super fast. That's going to vary. But you may be one of those who just super quickly picks it up and is just wonderful right from the beginning, or you may be someone who sticks in the ugly stage a little bit longer. But whichever one you fall in, it doesn't necessarily mean if you find that you're a little bit slower than that, it doesn't mean that, don't let it discourage you, but it may not even take you that long. It definitely varies from person to person. And I think if you've been using other art mediums too, like if you've used acrylics before or watercolor, if you use something else, I find that it is faster to pick up the next medium than the first time through, like by a lot. Because again, like back what I was saying with learning your values, learning the composition, you've already got that part down. Oh, this will be interesting. Look at all these harsh start and stop points. I wonder if that'll blend out well. I'm going to put trees over this so I can hide it if I am regretful of my sloppy technique here. Yeah, Mitchell said, I also think if you have a good drawing foundation, switching from one medium to another is a lot easier. Absolutely. That is so true. Mara said, when would you recommend taping off a border on your colored pencil pieces compared to going all the way to the edge? I never go all the way to the edge because the pencil wants to catch when you're like blending, or how I am, it catches off that. So I never personally go to the edge, but that's personal preference. Some people like it to work that way. Pokeball said, what do you think about contemporary art? Do you think it's real art, or do you like to prefer to draw pretty things? Personally, I like realism and surrealism, but I don't like somebody who wants to do modern art. It's still art. The attitude, and you get a lot of people say that, whatever, no matter what style you work in, whatever style you prefer, you will always find somebody who claims that that's not real art. You do realism, somebody says it's not real art, like abstract, modern, that's real art, that's what matters. You do abstract, someone tells you you can't draw, that's not real art. You're always, no matter what it is, do what you love and what makes you happy. No matter which style you like, you will find people who buyers for that style. There are buyers for every style. So I'm not one who is going to run around telling people that what one person likes is or is not real art. That's kind of, I think it's pretty self-important when you think your opinion on the matter is needs to be verbalized there. I always hate when someone runs up to somebody and tries to discount something that they enjoy doing. If you like it, it's art. I mean, no one can say one style is or is not. It's just so silly to me when somebody thinks they can decide what is or isn't art. I mean, I have things I like and dislike, but I would never presume to say something is or isn't art. And that's just coming down to personal taste. It's not even an issue of this style is better than that style because whatever. It's personal preference. It's art. It's always going to be personal preference. Let's see. Kelly said, what's the difference between the Pro Color and the Lightfast pencils? I thought they were both Lightfast. No, the Pro Color only a little bit more than half are Lightfast. So that was disappointing to me because I love how they work. They're just not the most light. Some of them are super Lightfast. I want to say 39 colors out of the 72, if I have that right, were Lightfast. The others weren't. So that's not great. I separated my Lightfast colors from my non-Lightfast so I can still use them. But unfortunately, grape was one of my favorite non-Lightfast colors, or favorite colors, and it was not Lightfast. Those ones are supposed to be more of a mixture between oil and wax-based pencils, something somewhere in the middle. And they were just a nice balance. I really, really like those ones. These ones are an oil-based, and all of them, they're ranked a 1 on the ASTM scale, which is as Lightfast as it's a 7-8 on blue wool, super, super Lightfast. So that's a difference there. As far as performance, I don't know just yet. We'll find out when I blend out this first layer. We'll get a much better idea, that's for sure. So again, what I'm doing right now, I just want you guys to know, is the sloppiest, super lazy technique. If you can see, if you're working with Faber-Castell or even Prismacolor, if you can see these streaks that I see all over mine, in those pencils, that does not normally blend out. You can kind of hide it, but you usually can see them. Normally, your good technique is going to be small circles like this, or little ovals, and just working around. Plus, I'm getting better pigment that way. But this here is how you want to typically get nice, smooth results. Usually, this gives you super sloppy results, super sketchy. You can tell every direction you shift. I'm testing. I'm just going to see once I go over with the odorless mineral spirits, does it get rid of it? And one of the reasons that I want to test this on the first layer is I can hide it with additional layers, sort of, at least enough to get rid of most of it. And then between that and the trees, I'll end up drawing in. That will help. And normally I would draw any branches and trees first and work around them if I were working with Faber-Castell or any of those. Right now, I want to test how much the black is going to cover what I get here. Plus, I think when I go over this with the odorless mineral spirits, this is going to get super dark. We'll find out. I had a little smudge from when I trimmed my paper. This was one big sheet, and I trimmed it down into four pieces this size. And I had a little smudge somewhere along the way. That is so frustrating when you're trying to keep your paper white. Watch that. Ooh. Okay, this has one of those little hard nuggets in it. I don't like that. Let's see if I can get rid of that. Okay, I easily got rid of it. So that's one negative, I guess. I don't like when colored pencils have those little hard rocks in it. Sometimes I get those with Luminance. Happens more than any of my other brands. Prismacolor does it a lot, but Luminance is... I've had a few, like the browns, I want to say it was Castle Earth. That one was kind of notorious for that. Caran d'Ache said that they fixed that the pigment, it was something with how the pigment was grounded down, or I don't know. There was a reason for it, and I forget what it was, but they claimed it was something that they did fix. I haven't had to order that color in so long that I haven't tried any of the new batches to be able to tell if it really was or not. But they were aware of it and working to fix it, so that was good. I'm seriously so impressed with Derwent this time on their release. Like, the difference between this release and the Derwent Pro Color, the Pro Color was just like, there was not that much information for those of us who made the videos. So I'm really glad they provided so much this time. Now, I'm not going to leave this where it's just a circle around him. It's just where I'm starting off. Let's see. Whoops, and that scrolled too far. Whoops. Oh my gosh, that really scrolled too far. 1 second. Okay, there we go. Dennis said, how can one get good pictures of graphite drawings? I use a DSLR. I get the best results that way, and I just play with natural daylight. Like indoors, like in my studio would not be the right place, or under my lights. My art lights are too harsh. I tend to get glare, and I have a hard time getting a good photo. So I go around to different rooms in the house, and I do this with all of my paintings and drawings, and take it in different, I try to get, you want it to be straight on. You want the camera at a 90-degree angle to the artwork, but I try to get lighting that's coming from one side, or two sides, hopefully, at a 45-degree angle. That's going to give you the best results, but I do it with a DSLR. Benjamin said, my cousin gave me my first set of colored pencils, the Prismacolor 150 set, and I have no problem with breakage at all. Love your channel, brilliant content and amazing art. Thank you. Yeah, and some people get really lucky and don't have any breakage with the Prismacolor. It seems to be like different batches that go out. Some are really, really bad, and some are amazing and perfect and have no problems. It's very hit or miss. I don't like that, though. I like consistency. I hate when it's that hit or miss. Like, it's really and I used to go through pencils like crazy. I was buying so many, and I remember going to the store. I don't think I bought some of the worst ones, but they were super, okay, that's over exaggerating, but the pencils were like really warped. It was like a little, like, canoe. Really, really warped, and then some were fine. So it just, when you get a set, it sucks because you don't know which in the set are going to be warped and which aren't, which is a bit frustrating. But that's really cool for you that you got a good batch. I'm glad. I wish they were just more consistent with that everybody's batch came out perfect. But that's cool. Brent said, my girlfriend said I should do YouTube videos. I don't think I'm good enough yet. When did you know you were ready? I was taking photographs. The way I got started with YouTube is I started taking photographs like the process of my work. And my friend Jaime, who I learned early on, he's my art hero, and I learned if Jaime says to do it, you should do it. Like, he has never steered me wrong on his advice, whether it be business or art-wise. So he told me I should do YouTube videos. So I went ahead and started that way. I mean, I'd already been an artist, a professional artist for years when I started. I did not know what I was doing. I recommend starting now. I mean, even if your content, if your videos aren't like amazing to start with, when you first start, there's not that many people who are going to see it. So I think it's a good idea to get used to editing video and get used to that as early as possible. Start building a fan base of people or viewers who want to see what you're producing. But the thing with art too, I feel like you almost always feel like you're not good enough. You'll always have that like, oh, but I'll be better next month. I'll be better next year. I'm going to wait till I'm better. And you can get to the point where you just never accomplish anything. So I would recommend jump right in. Worst case scenario, let's say your artwork is just not, you're not there yet. Make the video anyway, upload it and keep it unlisted. And that way you're learning that side of the business of doing YouTube and such now. Plus, you can end up using that later. Let's say right now your artwork isn't what it will, well, hopefully it wouldn't be what it is in a year or 2 years. If you have that old footage, those old videos that you've been recording now, you can show people how much you progressed, and people love seeing that sort of content. So I would say get started with it now just to get your feet wet, just to start getting used to it. And now, when you first start, if you don't have like a huge following on social media or anything, this is a good time to start it because you don't have the pressure of knowing thousands of people are going to see it right away. I mean, maybe eventually, but usually just the way the YouTube algorithms work, when you first start, it doesn't get a lot of views. So that, I think, takes some of the pressure off. So I think you should start now. I think your girlfriend is right. Joseph said a giraffe also has a mane. Oh, good. That runs the length of his neck and horns and bumps on his head. But almost everything about the giraffe's life is determined by its height. Wow. Did you just Wikipedia that? Also, if I have not already told you guys, make sure to check out our moderators. I've got, actually, Nick's here too. I should start putting in a link to his YouTube channel if he wants to hang out often. But I've got Joseph and Valerie. Their channels are linked in the video description. If you want to see, they've got great art channels. Definitely go check them out. Subscribe. Tell them thank you for helping me out. They do so much for me. Molly said, I tagged you on Instagram, my painting of a swan, and side knit? I don't even know how to say that. And was so excited when you liked it. How funny. I like when you guys tag me in that stuff because I get to see it. And if you use the hashtag Lachri Live or hashtag Lachri, I follow both of those hashtags. So anytime you use it, I'm going to see your artwork. So I love when you use those because I love seeing what you guys are creating. It's so much fun. Hey, Two Train. I feel like we've talked a lot today. Benjamin said, would you recommend a beginner artist to start with one medium or 3 at the same time? I would say get comfortable. I mean, usually I say get comfortable with one. At least get a feel for the one. If you jump around too much, it might get overwhelming. But on the flip side, I've had students who would get bored if they only worked in one. So they do one painting in one medium, and then they switched to graphite, and then they wanted to do colored pencil. And they learned really well that way because that's what interested them. Some artists would get frustrated because the progression, I think, is a little bit slower when you're doing a whole bunch at once. So normally, I would say most people are going to do best if they just choose one. But it depends on the individual. Everybody's going to be a bit different that way. Mara said, oh my god, I didn't realize that was black tape that you edged your paper with. I think it's time for tea. Oh, get me some too. I could definitely use some tea. Oh, I have tea. Mine's herbal though. There's no caffeine in mine. Stash blueberry herbal tea is amazing if anyone wanted to know. I don't have to sweeten it with anything. It's just so good by itself. Has nothing to do with this. Let's see. Sarah said, any animals that you'd like to use in your art that you haven't yet? I'd say, okay, I'm going to say a manatee, but I have painted manatees in the past. I just haven't in so long. So that's definitely on my to-do list, or to paint list, I should say. To draw list? Who else? None that I can think of off the top of my head, but I'm sure there's plenty. I know for sure a manatee. I haven't done a bat. I don't think I've ever painted or drawn a bat. So we'll add that to the list. Jasmine said, I always work in graphite. Should I study color theory thoroughly before attempting to work in colored pencils or color medium? I wouldn't. It's not going to make as much sense to you right now. I mean, you can read about it if you want, but I find most people, color theory doesn't make a whole lot of sense until they've played with color and tried mixing and things went terrible. And then when they read color theory books, it's like, oh, that's why that didn't work. Color theory won't make as much sense until you've been playing with color. So I say, get your paint, jump in, make a mess, and go into it planning on painting something ugly. I'm working off camera. Hold on, let me fix this. I forgot that this is not angled. There we go. I would say, someone may need to remind me when I switch angles again, but I would say just jump in with the paint. And most people have a tendency, like, let's say you've been working with graphite and you're really good at it, and now you want to try color. No, when your first couple of paintings are probably not going to be very good. That doesn't mean you won't be very good. That doesn't mean you should give up. That means you got to get the hang of it. So go into it with the intention of just make a mess and have fun with it. You're going to learn so much more than if you're trying to be too much of a perfectionist right off the bat. You can be a perfectionist later, but when you're first starting, just go make a mess with the color and see what happens. And then if you decide that you want to study color, like most artists don't study color. Some do. Most artists, when you ask them how they blend, they're like, I don't know, I just try it and see if it works. Most artists aren't going to like have full-on color theory that they studied. They just learn from trial and error. So it's not necessary that you do study it, but if you do study it, get some trial and error done first. It's going to make a lot more sense than jumping straight in or trying to read it and not knowing anything to begin with. Thank you, Pokeball Queen. Faith said, have you drawn an anime or cartoon characters way back then before you started with realistic portraits? I never was really into cartoons well, anime wasn't a thing. Well, when I was a kid, I mean, we didn't have internet, so wow, aging myself. I was never really into cartoons that much. I always liked trying to make them look realistic. They may have looked cartoony, but that was never my goal. That's just personal preference. Kelly said, pity is Friday, so I'm patiently waiting to see how these perform so I'll know if I want to buy. Let's see. Whoops, that scrolled too far. Whoops. Oh my gosh, I'm missing a bunch here. Hold on. Here we go. Jenny said, that background is kind of cool despite you being loose. Nice effect. Thanks. Yeah, kind of, I mean, you can intentionally get texture if you wanted on colored pencil. I just normally avoid it. Stacy said, what brand of electric pencil sharpener do you use? This one is an X-Acto School Pro. I think I've got it linked on my website. If you go there under colored pencil supplies, it should be linked there. It's about $24 or $25 on Amazon. Ad for Fun said, where's Valerie? I don't know. Oh, here she is. She's right there. Kelly said, I want to try the powder blender. What paper do you suggest I try first? My favorite is the Pro Art Panels. I go to proartpanels.com and get already mounted Fisher 400. That's my favorite. But the UArt 400 I liked as well. So those are my two favorites. Faith said, do you enhance the color of the picture before starting to draw? Yes, I do. Any Photoshop or whatever, I usually do to my reference photo before I start so I can get an idea. But I usually will still change it in the artwork. Ad for Fun wants to know what my first video was. My very first video was Studio Assistant #1 when she was a puppy, which was a long time ago because she's like, what, 13 now? Or 13 in a couple of days. I have a video of her doing one of her tricks where she'd say, she was supposed to put her paw over her face when I said, are you shy? But the most I ever got her to do was wave, but it's still adorable. Then the first art video I made was in 2000, I want to say it was 2012. It was actually of my Studio Assistant #1. I did an Italian Greyhound painting. That was my first attempt at a YouTube video. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know how to edit. I didn't know how do you even speed up a video? Where do you put the camera? I actually had this little flip cam that I taped with masking tape to the shelves, one of those shelves in the old room I was in. I had the camcorder taped to the shelves in order to record, which was kind of funny, but hey, it worked. That was how I got started. Matthew said, I guess it was one of those lucky people with a good batch of colored pencils. The only problem I have is with keeping a sharp point and layering. Love your videos. Keep it up. Thanks. Yeah, the Prismacolor can be a bit hard to keep a sharp point. And one of the things that I do recommend, don't sharpen to, like these I'm going to sharpen to a finer point because they're an oil base. They're going to be harder, say with my Faber-Castell. The Prismacolor and like the Derwent drawing that's really soft, I recommend sharpening with a, like instead of being super pointy, kind of the more this way, the different angle. I call them golf pencil sharpeners where it's like not super pointy. That usually works better. Move Along said, when did you start selling art? 1998, I think. Ad for Fun said, how can I make more colors from 12 polychromos without making them muddy? Trial and error. Get a scratch piece of paper and try layering different colors to find out what happens first. Do that first before you go on to your artwork because certain colors are going to get muddy when you mix them. Remember too with complementary colors, one color theory thing that I think everyone should know is understanding complementary colors. If you mix a color with its complement, So like the complementary colors, if you take the color wheel, the color exact opposite is, those two are going to be color complementary. So yellow and purple, blue and orange, red and green are all complementary colors. And if you add a complementary color to a color, that's going to neutralize it or give you kind of a brownish tone. So you may, if you're getting muddy colors, that may be what's happening. Also watch if you've got a lot of white and black kind of close together and they start smudging, that will give you a grayish tone. So be aware of that if that's not something that you want. But having that scratch piece of paper that you can try first, like try 2 colors, see what happens. If you don't like it, you know, I'd put a little mark, like these are the colors I used. Don't do those together again. That'll help you. But the 12 set you should be able to do fine without mixing mud. But watch that with complementary colors. If they're layering over each other, they're going to neutralize or get kind of brownish. Brett said, thanks for a great answer on me doing YouTube. My girlfriend calls you my artist crush. Is that a thing? That's funny. Pokeball Queen said, what do you think about drawing bunnies? I think bunnies are adorable and you should draw lots of them and then tag me in them so that I can see them and go, oh, bunnies. Megan said, it's burr cold here in Aussie. That is so hard to imagine right now. Listening to you have a cold drink. Burr, it is hot here. We've been like the last few nights or the last week, it was a little bit better the last couple of days, but the last week we had a bunch of days that were like 112. And then at night, it did not get out of the 90s. Like it never cooled off. It stayed super miserably hot. It has been not fun here. It's so it's always fun to talk to people in other parts of the world because my brain has a hard time understanding that it's cold somewhere right now. Nancy said, what was that tea brand? It's Stash. I usually get it on Amazon because I get the big box of 100 and I love their tea. They have really good green tea too. If you like green tea, their green tea is my favorite. But it's STASH. Whoops, that just scrolled too far. Good job. Come on, where did it go? Sorry, I'm scrolling back up so I can get the other comments here. Here we go. Tammy said, do you ever start with a subject, then finish the background? Me, no. I don't. I almost always start with the background first. I can't even think of a time that I didn't. Because here, if I get a little of the background and mess up my draft, it's not a big deal because I haven't drawn him yet. I can fix it when I draw him. But if I get him all perfect and I mess it up when I start the background, then I have to go back and fix him again. So it's just easier for me if I can do this. Plus, then it makes it easier for me to judge the values on the draft. Like in this case, it's going to be really important. Like here, oh, there's an example. See, I got a pencil line out of place. No big deal. I haven't even drawn the main yet. But in this case, he's going to need so much blue and purple that is not in my reference photo in order to make him look like he's a part of the scene. Because this scene that I took the photo, it's like browns, and I think there is a blue sky, but it's mostly brown colors. So his skin tone isn't reflecting what's around him. I've got to pull the background colors into him. So it's going to be easier if I get those background colors first and have an idea of what those, because I'm going to be changing the values. I'm changing everything from the reference photo. Yeah, Megan said, yes, definitely learn more playing with colors to learn that the hard, fun way. That's how I learn too. Joe said, I love the Stash Ginger Peach Green Tea. Ooh, I have that one too. That's really good. Or I have, wait, is that the one I have? I have a peach something. I think that's the one I have. I have a few different ones. I went crazy a while back and bought a ton of different tea. Or of the Stash teas. Benjamin said, the Prismacolor's inconsistency on quality control you mentioned is worrying me. I don't see myself buying more once they finish, but I'm happy to try colored pencil. And here's the thing, don't let that discourage you too much too, because you can start with Prismacolor and as you replace them with a different brand. So let's say you wanted to stay with a wax base and you wanted the more expensive luminance. It's a lot less hard on your wallet to buy 2 or 3 luminance at a time until you build up your collection versus buying the whole set at once. So that's an option too. But that you like, don't ever feel like, oh, I just don't want to do colored pencil because I don't like the Prismacolor, because I hit that point for a while because I was so sick of them breaking. Keep working with them and then just slowly change them out if that's what you want to do. Myra said, fascinating color theory book. Blue and yellow don't make green. I've not heard of that one. I should look that up. Andrew says, have you ever used gloss medium before, and how have you utilized it? No, I mean, I use a glazing medium that has a gloss in it, but not something that was called gloss medium. If you mean for like acrylics, I think. So no, I've not used anything, and I don't think anything I have is called gloss medium. I just have some glazing medium. I have a gloss varnish. Pokeball Queen said, do you have some advice for what to do when you can't concentrate for drawing or are too impatient? How frequently do you do breaks? You have some days when you don't draw or paint. I do have some days, not too many. Don't let it go too long because you kind of get out of the habit of doing it. When I'm not able to concentrate, I try to get a new audiobook or an older one that I really like. Something, if I listen to audiobooks, I find I'll sit still longer. I've also in the past brought my laptop over near my easel and put Netflix on that I could kind of watch or listen while I worked. That has helped before. But I like to have something I can watch or listen to. That mostly listen. I love audiobooks. So Audible, I spend so much money on Audible. That's where I think most of my money goes to. Some people go to movies. I go to Audible. But I listen to books, and that really, really helps. Sometimes when I'm really not in the mood to paint or draw, the audiobook won't do it for me, and I'll put on music. Usually something I haven't listened to in a really long time will motivate me for some reason. Techno, if you put on techno, it will make, no matter what you're doing, cleaning the house, scooping dog poo, whatever you're doing, if you listen to techno, it feels epic. It feels like the most amazing thing you ever did. Like I'm the most kick butt person in the world. Scoops the dog poop. I mean, I don't know what it is about techno will do that, but techno will sometimes be kind of I'm not in the mood. Throw on some techno. Those are some of the tips that I do. And then there's just some days that you don't want to. If it's like a 1 or 2 day thing, fine. If you find that it's more often than that, you then just making yourself sit down. The other thing that I like to do is set goals. Like I'm going to sit down and I'm going to do the whole background tonight. I'm going to get it 100% finished. That's what I'm doing. And something small, you can do that. Big with colored pencil, not so much. Or I'm going to work and just get this ear done. That's all I have to do. Then I can go play Warcraft. Then I can go take the dogs on a walk, whatever else I want to do. But I'm going to get that done. I'm going to just give myself a goal. It works so much better than just, okay, I need to sit down and work. Like if I give myself little, I need this section done. I need just this section. That's all I have to worry about is right here. I find that makes it way easier for me to sit still and get work done. Marina said, what paper do you like for colored pencil? Cold press or hot press? Hands down, hot press. Cold press is okay for watercolor pencils or Inktense, and even then I typically prefer hot press. But for colored pencil, definitely go with the hot press. The cold press is too bumpy, and so it's really hard to get smooth blending. It's okay for sketching, like quick, loose sketches, because then it doesn't really matter. But other than that, change my camera angle let's get this done really quick too. I'm going to actually go the opposite direction. And normally that's not necessarily how I would work, but I'm really curious to see if my sloppy blending blends out well. And this is only going to be one of, usually I'll do 5 layers when I blend a background, or 5 where I blend, or I layer it, I blend with OMS, I let it dry, I layer again, blend with OMS. I usually repeat that 3 to 5 times, usually closer to 5. I don't know on this how many I will need to do because I know when I did the Derwent Pro Color, it didn't need as many layers. So let me change my camera angle really quickly here. Okay. Let's see. Molly's Fine Art said, have you ever drawn or painted real chickens? I have 17. I can send you some reference photos. Please do. I love chickens. I don't think I have, but I would love to. Madison said, do you have a favorite tape when you work with watercolor pencils and Inktense? The tape I use for colored pencil work always lifts, and yeah, that, I know what you mean. Usually I just use the cheapy, masking tape from, Target or wherever, the hardware store. I'll use, not the blue tape. The blue tape will always lift. I don't use painter's tape. I use regular masking tape, if that's a problem. This tape is nice because it doesn't tear the paper at all. You have to be careful with the real masking tape. You tear it so slow when you lift it, but that's usually what I do is just use the cheapy stuff. But again, you have to, when you tear it, you would want to tear it away like this from the artwork. Don't ever tear into the artwork. If you tear in, especially if you've got your tape on the outer edge, you can tear that right in. And if it's a really tacky tape, that is a huge problem. Always get used to tearing slowly and away from the art when you remove it. And the longer you leave it on the artwork, the more likely it is to just bond to the paper and tear. So try not to leave the masking tape on too long if you can avoid it. Let's see. Molly said, I'm 14 years old and I have just been asked to display my work in a small local art gallery. That's awesome. Congratulations. I'm planning to become a professional artist as my career, so I'm really getting a head start. That's so cool. Good for you. Faith said, what do you recommend? What site do you recommend or suggest to search pictures that we can use as reference with high quality? Pixabay, Pixabay, I think. Pixabay.com has really good ones, and those are free. If you want, and you said high quality, the other option, if you want to pay for stuff, wildlifereferencephotos.com has amazing, if you like wildlife, they have so many good photos there. But those ones run $2, like if you buy, you can get for $10 5 photos, so they're $2 a piece. Totally worth it. The photos are amazing. But if you're looking for free options, then Pixabay is usually good. The problem with Pixabay is sometimes people, which pencil am I using? We'll see which one's shortest. That one. Sometimes people will upload to Pixabay photos that actually aren't royalty free. So you may think that they are, and they're not. So since I'm being lazy here, I don't have my glassine on it. I'm just not touching my hand. I'm holding my hand up so that I don't get any oils of my skin on this, just in case this ends up being amazing and I decide to sell it. Or just keep it because it was my first time using these pencils. I may decide to do that too, but we'll see. I think it's important too when you're painting and drawing, don't always worry about everything being perfect. Sometimes you just want to experiment and see what happens. That's how you're going to learn new things. So here, like I'm being sloppy and messy, but that's how I'm going to learn if I can do this in the future. So it's not a big deal to me if this first time comes out absolutely perfect. I mean, I want it to be as good as possible, but if it doesn't, I'm not going to have a meltdown over it. It's okay. I'm want to get a real good feel of how all of this is going to blend and layer and all of that. And that's more important to me right now than anything else. Just giving these pencils a good test. This already looks kind of smooth considering how sloppy I was. We'll see when almost ready for the OMS layer. Or we'll blend that out. Let's see. Michael says, hi Michael. Lisa, do you remember viewing, I do remember viewing both these videos when I found you several years ago and wanted to look at what you did. A lot has happened from that point. You're having fun. I'm having fun. Yeah, it's really changed from those earlier videos, huh? Oh. This just froze up. Hold on. Wow, I just missed a bunch. Max said, please tell your friends at Derwent I miss a white pencil on my 12 Inktense set. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I would like to see white in those. So I bought a bunch of those individually, like a bunch individually. The first time I used Inktense, Derwent sent me, well, the first time I used it was with Smart Art Box, and that was the blocks, and it was a set of 12. So I don't even think that had white in it. So the second time I used them were when Derwent sent me the full set. They sent me the set of 72 or whatever it was for the blocks and the pencils. And I had so much fun that very night. Like I wasn't even finished with my project. I was instantly, I forget if I went to Jerry's or Dick Blick, I went and ordered a whole huge set of white pencils and blocks. I was like, these are amazing. I was so excited when I saw they were available open stock. Okay, let's see. Stacy said, I forgot where you're located. I am in Texas. I'm in North Texas. Myra said, I'm in LA. It's been 106 this week. Oh, I feel for you. A couple of weeks ago, it was 117 and our AC stopped working. Oh, that sucks. The only thing good about LA is you guys I was more Inland Empire with Southern California, but you cool off at night. That was the one thing I liked better with the weather in California than here. Okay, and the winters are better there, but they actually do get cold here, which I was not used to. But you guys, like, I do miss, like, it would cool, even if it was a super hot day, it usually cooled down enough that you could still go on a walk at night, go ride your bike, whatever, go rollerblading. You could do, I just aged myself again, didn't I? You could do that and still be comfortable or comfortable enough. And here, you know, the sun goes down or it starts going down and it's still 95. Like, it doesn't cool off. It just stays. That's the one thing I really miss with your weather in Southern California. And palm trees. I really miss palm trees. I love those. Thanks, Pokeball Queen. Benjamin said, will you color the giraffe realistically with the draft natural color, or will you color with pinks and purples, blues, greens, and play with the colors in the set? I'm going to color him so he looks natural, only because he's in a nighttime scene, he's going to have, like, the darker purples would be reflecting on him. So while it will be natural, it's natural in purple lighting, I guess. So I'm not going to do like I did with the zebra where it was all kinds of colors. He should look natural, so he will have purples in those colors in him, but he's going to be nighttime, so. Let's see. Benjamin said, thank you for the advice. I'm happy as can be. Thank you so much. Glad to help. Megan said, I'm getting I'm really getting into the audiobooks, but energetic music really raises the energy. I agree. Techno, I'm telling you. Oh no, Shannon says techno just gives me a headache. No can do. I can also understand that. Like, I wouldn't listen. It's not something I'd want to listen to all the time. Just sometimes for some reason that will put me in the mood to draw. Don't know what, because it feels like you're doing something so fancy. Like saving the world with my colored pencils. Pokeball Queen said, are you more motivated night or day? Absolutely, hands down, night. I am not a day person. Like, I don't even wake up until like noon or 1 in the afternoon, because I like to work all night long. I'll work and paint and draw till like 5 in the morning. That's my favorite time. So I am not a morning person. Sarah said, speaking of making videos, do you ever come across times when you're doing your voiceover, when you're struggling with what to say without repeating yourself? Like, I do almost, you know, I was actually talking to a friend about this the other day. She makes videos too, and we were both saying that, like, you feel like, you do start to feel like you're repeating a lot of what you say over and over again. But you have to remember when you're making videos that this may be someone's very first time watching your content. So they may not know that information. Sometimes it's good to repeat the same thing over. Like, they might not know. Like, I mean, how many times have I told you guys, work in little circles and shown you how to do that? If you've been here for very long, you've seen it a lot of times, but someone who this is their first time wouldn't know that. So even though you're repeating yourself, you still want to do that. Because it's easy to assume everyone knows what you're talking, and I'm guilty of doing that all the time myself. You think that everyone knows what you're talking about, like, oh, they've seen that video already, but a lot of people haven't. So while I don't like repeating myself over and over again, you really do have to. Julia said, will the Caran d'Ache Blender Bright protects the non-Lightfast color from fading or make them more Lightfast? It's not going to make them more, it's not really going to change much. It doesn't add Lightfastness to it in using that. It shouldn't make it worse, but it shouldn't make it more Lightfast either. I don't know if Caran d'Ache makes any other claims than that, but it wouldn't make sense that it would, because it's not even pigment. It's just clear, like, it's just the wax. So, Move Along said, how many hours a day do you usually paint? P.S. Thank you so much for making videos. I learned so much from you. You're welcome. Thanks for watching them. It depends on the day. Like, I mean, a normal night, I would say 5 hours. Yeah, 5 hours would be about normal for me. But I get up and have to take a break every so often because I've got a really messed up back. So I normally can only set for like half an hour, and I need to get up and walk, and then I can come back again. So I do take breaks in between there. Get more tea. Lourdes said, do you have any advice for figure drawing? So far, I've practiced with sketching poses in 10 minutes. What would you say is the best next step? Just practice. I mean, really, it's just practicing a lot and learning proportion. If you can have a general idea of like, okay, if you break up a figure, it should be this many heads tall. That, I think, helps. The more you draw, the more you're going to notice. And for me, I don't usually measure that often. What I typically am doing is just, you get used to understanding proportions the more you draw. The more you draw, the more it's going to start making sense to you. And I like that you're doing the 10-minute ones, but you may want to start doing longer ones and do studies too. Like, if you can study just the hand, do a study just drawing the hand, just drawing the nose, just drawing the eyes. Get really good with that. And then when you put it all together, I think it makes it a bit easier. So that maybe studies would be a good way for you to start next. Myra said, my sit still and draw tricks are artist documentaries. That's a good idea. How-to YouTube videos like yours. Thanks. And music, usually something chill. Yeah, I listen to techno. I say I listen to that, but I would never, like, I wouldn't want to listen to it every day. That's just kind of my last resort. I cannot get myself to paint. Or Amberlin. Amberlin, that band will do it for me too, because I love them. So I'll be like all motivated. But normally, like, if I really, like, there's a band, if you look up, I think he's on Amazon. I don't think there's anything on YouTube, but Thomas Goodlunas. It's violin and piano, and it's gorgeous. That's what I usually have playing through my Amazon Echoes. Oh, good, I didn't say the right name, so they didn't wake up. I'm like, oh crap, I forgot to not say that here. But that's what I have playing normally throughout the house. It's like super calm. I like calmer music more often than not. Techno's like my last resort. Nothing else is working. This is the super strong, like 800 milligram ibuprofen type thing, like, headache's bad, you jump to the big one, and that's how techno is for me. It's like that's the big one that is my last resort. Phyllis said, do you think you'll ever try Inktense on fabric? I don't know. I mean, it's made. That's one of the big selling points with that. I don't know if I will or not, because it doesn't sound fun to me, but I could be wrong. I say a lot of things don't sound fun, and then I try them and think it's amazing. I just had a question, and then it scrolled too far. 1 second. Let me find where that came from. I know it was Brent. There we go. I refuse to sell my art. I've been offered money, but I'd rather give it away. Am I making a mistake? I mean, besides turning down cash. Well, that's basically what you're doing. You do what's comfortable for you. I don't like to sell to friends. Like, if it's a friend who asks for it, I'm not comfortable with that, so that I can understand. But, like, actual, like, put it on eBay, I'll put it on eBay. Though there are certain ones, like I've got a giraffe with butterflies on him that I have had, it's an actual giraffe, not a zebra, that I have kept for, when did I paint that? 2000, I can't even read what that says. I think that's a 14. But I have not made him available for sale. I don't think he is yet. Maybe I did recently. But I've kept him all these years just because I love him. So there will be times that I don't want to sell stuff for that. And I don't want to sell to family and friends. I'd rather just, I don't even want to give it away to them. I'll give it as gifts. I don't just like if someone asks me to paint something, I usually won't do it. I'm a jerk. But yeah, let's see. Clarence said, sometimes a blow dryer can aid in tape removal. Yes, good tip. Heat it up and that will loosen it. That is such a good tip. Thank you. I never think to mention that to you guys, because I usually just tear it off slow, but absolutely, that is a great tip. Myra said, so true about Southern Cal nights being cooler outside. Unfortunately, the house stayed 98 all night long. Oh, that sucks. We didn't have air conditioning growing up in Southern California, so I had to not have that. Now, one of the things, okay, so getting back to this really quick, my paintbrush, because I had dark purple on it, I've dipped it in the paint thinner, and I've got to make sure it's nice and clean before I go into the light blue, because when I first dipped it in there, look how much came off. So I want to make sure, and I don't want a ton on there. I'm going to wipe it off on my paper towel. And this is a Viva paper towel. It's very cloth-like. This is what I recommend when using odorless mineral spirits. With a Gamsol or the Mona Lisa odorless paint thinner, a single drop of this will spread like wildfire all over everything. So, like if you get it on a regular paper towel or regular paper, like one drop, and it makes it look soaking wet, like it spreads. So, this stuff gets messy really fast. I know I actually spilled some earlier. I knocked over my bottle. But I'm going to dab some off on the paper towel, and we'll just blend that out. So this is super, super light. I don't have a lot of pigment on this, and I probably should have put another layer of colored pencil before I blended this, because this is not blending amazing. But I only put one layer, and I should have put like 3 to 5, ideally. So that's going to, I'm going to hopefully pull some of the purple, and so we'll see what happens there. Donna said, how long did it take you to get good at portraits in acrylic? I'm just starting. I don't know that I'd say I ever got good at acrylic portraits. I don't like working in acrylic for portraits. I like doing oils or colored pencils or graphite, charcoal, chalk. Well, I hate those mediums, but they're good for portraits. I never really liked portraits in acrylics. I use it for my underpainting, and then I like going over and smoothing things out. I don't like doing skin tones with acrylics, not because the color isn't good, not because it can't be done, but because the dry time, I'm having to fight that, and I've just always been too lazy. Although, now that I say that, I'm thinking that's personal challenge time. I need to do a portrait in acrylics. That is coming soon. We're going to do that and see. I should be able to do it. I'm usually like, I like the oils better, so I wouldn't say that I ever got good at it, but we'll see how it goes when I try it soon. Gales is a night person too. Even if it's raining, yes. Or thunderstorms. Oh, do I love listening to thunderstorms when I'm painting or drawing. I had one night, last year or the year before, I forget which it was, but it was raining. It was so heavy that the power went out. So I had a candle or something, and I sat on the floor and painted. Oh my gosh, that was the most fun. I mean, it was in a sketchbook, so it wasn't something that needed to be perfect, but I had so much fun doing that. Thunderstorms and art go hand in hand. Madison, well, besides when the power goes out. Madison said, good night, everybody. Enjoy the rest of the stream. Good night, Madison. Pokeball Queen said, you're my favorite art channel. Thank you. And I just scrolled too far and missed some questions. Hold on. Caution Artist at Play said, giraffes are my absolute favorite. I love that you draw and paint them so often. Yeah, I love them and flamingos. So maybe I just have a thing for animals with really long necks. Benjamin said, that's starting to look smooth. My expectations are high. I hope they're as good as Pro Color. Me too. Because if they are, I mean, there's our Lightfast issue, especially when the rest of them come out. But look how that's smudging almost like watercolor. Like more than I would expect with a colored pencil with as little pigment as I have on here. And I'm going to end up darkening it behind his head a whole lot later. So I'm kind of, actually, let's work up here because that's where my camera is. I'm just going to come up here. Wow, look at that, is like impressively smooth. It still has a little bit of a grainy, gritty look, but considering I was sloppy when I did the application, that is really impressive. That almost, I mean, it's getting so dark. Oh, that's off camera. Hold on. You guys will see this in a second. Let me fix this a bit more. Let's see. There we go. Sorry about that. But look at that, how pigmented. Now, this looks more blue on the camera than what I'm seeing. Mine is more purple. By a lot. But what I'll do is on my next layer, I'm going to darken it up. I'm going to start pulling the darks on top of it. I don't think we'll get to that. No, we definitely won't get to that tonight. But this is encouraging because look at how sloppy gosh, imagine if I used good techniques, how smooth that would be. If I was like careful and did the little circles and kept the sharp pencil, that would be even smoother than what I'm getting now. This is still, I can already tell it has a little bit of a grainy, gritty feel, but for a first layer, that is impressive. Honestly, I expected these. I did go into these expecting them to be really good just because, well, first off, they're all light fast. Second of all, the Pro Color were so good. I did expect to like these. So I want to say I'm not super surprised. I think that's why I felt safe to go ahead and be messy because the Pro Color actually blend really well when I'm being sloppy too. Now, whenever I blend with odorless mineral spirits, I'm going to use way more on my brush than I will with later layers. Like the first layers, I use more OMS. As I get into further layers, I'm going to use less and less because it will get to the point when on later layers where you have so much pigment on the paper that you start lifting color away instead of just blending it out. So each additional layer, I'll go a little bit less where I just let that paintbrush dry a bit more and a bit more. Let's see. Yeah, Valerie said, I hate when Alexa wakes up during my live. Shoot, I just said her name. Oh, she didn't listen. One of the problems I have, one of my dogs' name is Echo, so I wasn't able to name her that. That would be a word that I would say less often in the house. The chicken's Echo, we have it listed as computer, but we wake that thing up all the time. I don't know, I think the other name, the A name that I'm not going to say because I'll wake up mine, might be more convenient in that room, but yeah, she wakes up a lot on accident. Sarah said, sometimes I feel I'm saying the same thing in one video, though, because I'm just doing more of what I was doing 2 minutes earlier, maybe. Yeah, and that's definitely, when you're making the voiceovers, you're going to end up repeating like that. I mean, that's the nature of doing voiceovers of an art video. I mean, our techniques aren't usually going to adjust that much from video to video, so it's kind of in the nature of it. I mean, if somebody gets bored listening to the same thing over and over again, but they want to watch the techniques, they can always mute us and put music on. Ursi said, a fab laydown of blue pencil. Terrific. Yeah, I'm really excited about this, although it's not that blue. So that's one thing in this. I don't think there's a good blue in this set. I've got more purples than blue. Like, this is the most blue I have, and what you're seeing looks way more blue on the computer monitor than this is a definite, like, this is purple, like the purple in the rainbow is the color I would consider this one. It's definitely, this set needs more blue than what I've got. I've got, let's see, the violet, which is more purple. I've got Nightshade, which is the dark, almost black purple, and then I've got this blue violet, which is this purple. So I don't have a super, super dark, like a definite, like, navy blue or anything like that. There is not a pencil. Wait, what is this one? I think that's just brown. Yeah, oh, chocolate. Yeah, there's not a good blue in this set. So until the next, set of these colors come out or more colors, I'm going to have to use the blue from my other sets in order to get blue. There's no, the only blue, like blue, is the light ultramarine, but it's super light. So that's, oh wait, we've got this blue. I guess this is kind of blue, but it's more of a turquoisey blue. It's dark turquoise. There you go. I love when companies name things what I would naturally call them because, like, Carandosh, those of you who, especially I think on Patreon, a video I was doing recently, I'm giving you the names, or even the Patreon live stream that we did for the Carandosh watercolor pencils are the ones I used. And I was like, oh yeah, I was just making up names of pencils. I don't know what they are. They're so random and they're hard to read on the pencil. But these ones, Derwent, actually, their colors have a tendency to be something closer to what I would call a pencil. So it's always convenient. I mean, not that that's necessarily a selling point. It just makes it easier for me. Otherwise, I'm just making stuff up for you guys. Gail said, what is the name of the pencil podcast you participate in? It is called the Colored Pencil Podcast. Pretty basic. We didn't get too fancy with that name. Claudia says, do you script your videos, or when you started out, did you script your videos? Looking for tips better at public speaking. I can't speak without planning what I say first. Yeah, when I started, I scripted everything. Like, I would have to write down word for word what I was going to say at each part of the video. And even the beginning, the intros of my videos, I used to script. I even tried making a big, like, poster board and writing down and reading, but you could see I was reading, so that didn't work. Then I tried memorizing what I was going to say. I am terrible at memorizing, so that doesn't work. So now I just ramble and then edit like crazy the parts that aren't making any sense. So it's easier now that I don't script, but in the beginning I couldn't, like, I didn't know what to say. Now it's much easier to talk on camera, but at first I had a hard time with it. And I do think scripting it made it feel more unnatural, and it took a lot longer, but it was the only way I could do it. So I don't like regret doing it. It was how I learned, but it is much easier now that I've gotten to the point where I just ramble and edit a lot. Lots of editing for the random stuff that comes out of my mouth. Clarice said, when I used a blow dryer for masking tape, it melted the adhesive and left goo on the edges of my dry. Okay, too much heat there. A little less heat, a little farther away from the paper will help. Anne said, about repeating yourself, I've been watching your content for months, but I forget stuff, so repeating is good. See, there's another good take on that. Oops, and that just scrolled too far, and I can't find my place. 1 second. Where was that? Here we go. Mara said, I used a piece of Stonehenge paper for my hoarding pile, but I used Prismas instead of polychromos. I found this to be a huge mistake. The Prismas were awful for layering. Prismas are harder because they're so filled with wax. So you have to kind of plan on that. You're going to, that was definitely a challenge, and I like the Faber-Castell better. And even the luminance I found layer better. Like, for me and for the techniques I use, luminance layer better for me. Like, I have a much better time with it. Now, see how blotchy some of this is? My future layers, that's going to blend out. That's not going to be a problem in this piece. But if I were working light and wanted really light layers, it would have been better for me to use better techniques. But I'm going to go so much darker on top of this that it's not a big deal. Don said, thank you for answering my question. You're welcome. Steffi said, hey, I'm starting oil paint, but I don't know how to start. Could you please give me some suggestions on how wow, I can't talk, how to start with oil paint? Yes, go to a video, look up on YouTube, just Lachri Intro to Oil Paint, and that video is going to show you so much. Like, that's, I think, a big thing. And one of the big things for oils, remember that just because it blends well doesn't mean you want to keep blending. I think the biggest mistake people have with oils, they create mud. You'll hear that a lot, where people say they're afraid to work with oils because they heard you'll create mud. Yeah, you get muddy colors because you overblend. Sometimes you just need to stop, let the layer dry. If you use the tools that I use, it'll dry overnight, or pretty much, and then you can go on to your next layer. But if you keep blending and adding more paint on wet paint, more paint on wet paint, if you do it too much, you end up getting to a point where you really do just start creating mud. And that's the biggest problem people have in just over blending, because it's like, oh, it blends, so this looks good, more must be better. Well, no, usually you don't want to. That's the big, knowing not to over blend. Those are my big tips for you. But go look up the Intro to Oil Painting. It's a green apple. And that goes over a lot of tips on the tools that I like to use, all kinds of stuff there. And yeah, that should get you started. Trying to scroll slowly, but I know YouTube likes to suddenly the chat goes up and I miss everything. Let's see. Gail said, Maxfield Parish Blue, how fitting. Today is his birthday. He's my favorite artist ever. Is that what one of these was called? Where did that name come from? I think I missed part of that comment. I have a feeling I mixed part of the comment. Missed. I'm tired. Valerie's laughing because she knew I was going to say the Amazon Echo word. See, Valerie, that's just mean. You did it on purpose, huh? She didn't wake up, though, so that was good. Megan said, this is encouraging, and I love hearing you remind me about the decreasing amounts of mineral spirit blending. I am glad I could help. Benjamin said, do you think you'll be able to have details with those pencils? I think so, if it's because they feel kind of like Pro Color, and with those I had no problem getting details. And because they're sharp, that's one of the things with oil-based pencils. They tend to be one of the easier pencils to get details with, whereas I feel like wax-based tend to blend a little bit smoother. Although this is like amazing. I'm not unhappy with this right now. So Yeah, I do think I will be able to, but we'll see once I actually start, because I'm going to give a few little individual tiny hairs on the draft so that we can really see, like, not too much, because I don't want him to look like a wire-haired giraffe, but I do want to get an idea of the tiny details, and especially around the eyes and stuff. So when I do the full review, we'll see that. And if my back doesn't go out again, it's been a tough few days. If I'm good, I'm hoping to finish this in the next couple of days, and then that will be next week's, or this coming weekend, whatever, I get it uploaded, Patreon video. So you guys are going to know first or have a better idea. But even if you're not on Patreon, I will be posting photos of this, so you'd be able to see there how much detail I was able to get. Because it'll probably take a couple of weeks before the full video goes up on YouTube. Thanks, Ursies. Cushion artist at play said, he's showing someone how to tag my name. Oops. And what a shock. I scrolled too far and missed a bunch of questions again. Here we go. Okay, there we go. Susan said, okay, more people are showing people how to get the highlight for Lachri fine art. Dawn said, please do a pet portrait tutorial. You know, I've not done one in a while, huh? I think that is a good idea. You know what I have not painted? Like, I don't think I've done a really, like, detailed cat painting. I'm not, like, I think cats are adorable, but they're not, like, I'm a dog person. So, I don't have a cat, so I don't have, like, reference photos of my own cat, but I'm sure there are plenty on Pixabay. So, I think I need to do a nice fluffy cat. Well, maybe not super fluffy, like normal, but that would be a good pet portrait one, I think, if I can find a good photo for that. Donna said, I checked on Amazon, $14.91 available August 9th. Is that for these colored pencils? Because when I looked last night, I don't remember what they were. I leaned on them, and now I don't even remember what the amount was. Because that's definitely a lot less than the $145 retail. Megan said, Megan's laughing that I can't talk. If anyone can talk, you can talk. I mean, I can talk nonstop, but it doesn't come out right. Vivian said, are Lyra Pro polycolor pencils good pencils? That went too far. Come back. Are they wax or oil-based? They are supposed to be oil-based. They're good. They're not my favorite, but I also don't hate them. I would use those over a Prismacolor if given the opportunity between the two, if that helps. But of the pencils I own, like, if I compared them to I'm just starting with these. I shouldn't be able to compare this too much yet. But if I compare them to, like, Procolor, Luminance, Polychromos, the Lyra are probably my least favorite, but they're not bad either. They're actually a good pencil. So, I need to go through and see if there are any colors that I want to dig out and add to my other pencils to use more regularly. Like, I've got a full set. I just never dig them out. But I don't dislike them either. They're a decent pencil. Brent said, I'm glad you didn't do little circles in the background. I'm digging that streaky look. Well, I'm hoping to smooth it out. I mean, it kind of looks cool, but that's not what I want. So my challenge is going to be, can I take this streaky look and make it smooth? I mean, not that there's anything wrong with leaving it streaky, but I do want to test and see if being messy with these, if I can still achieve the smooth look. So that'll be interesting. That's my challenge. Vladimir said, how do you clean oil brushes? I feel like you say what to use to clean your brushes, but not really how. I have a video that people complain about me wasting water. We weren't in a drought at the time. But I have a video that I show you how I clean them. So if you want to look up, just do a search for Lachri and clean brushes, or how I clean my brushes. Or if you go to the frequently asked questions page on my website, lachri.com, if you go to the frequently asked questions page, I should have a link to it there. I think that was one of the frequently asked questions. Valerie claims she didn't tell me to say the Amazon word on purpose. I don't know if I believe her, because she's still laughing. Sarah said, do you have any recent videos on what camera setup and what video camera you use for time lapse? I don't. I need to make one. I started making one. I actually filmed it, but then I never edited it, and now the info's out of date anyway, right before I ended up with all my health problems last year. I had filmed it, and it was one of those. I still have the original footage somewhere, but it's not the same, so it's not so useful. I need to redo that again. I definitely need to redo that again. Kelly said, have you tried Artzea products? I have not, although I've heard good and bad about them. I guess they're decent for a low end product, I think somebody was telling me, but I've heard mixed reviews on them. I've not tried them yet. I've heard some odd stuff about their contracts and stuff that makes me go, I don't think it's for me. But no, so no, I've not tried them. Mara Black said, like someone, another artist, I heard all bad, and then another artist had said she used them, she really liked them, so it may be personal preference, I'm not sure. Mara said, are you in love with pan pastels? I actually am. I liked what I did with them so far, so I'm excited to do another project with those. Like, really excited to try, like, a full project. Gail said, that's what his deep blue color was called. Popular coin phrase in the 1920s. You should look up his work. I will. Let's see. Megan, why do you scroll like this? Not Amazon. YouTube, that's the word I'm looking for. Let's see, where did it go? Megan said, yes, please, a cat. I like this idea. I'm definitely going to have to do that. Cats are adorable. I just don't have one. My dogs are like the cat of the dog world, I guess. They're the way they behave. Some people have compared them to that, so, you know. I have too many plants, too, and I don't trust a kitty not to eat all of them, especially because some of them are poisonous. Okay, I'm having a hard time finding where I was. Can I do a watercolor painting, please? I don't have watercolor pans. I have watercolor pencils, and I'm loving those, but I'm liking them so much. I do kind of want to get some watercolor pans or tubes or something like that to try out. I am more interested in them now that I found I like watercolor pencils so much. So I might. But that is another item that is not currently in my budget, so that we'll hold off on that. But I do kind of want to try them. I'll have to watch some tutorials. Have I tried pan pastels? I did. I tried them for the first time was it last week's video? What was last week's video? Was it? Gosh, I don't even remember. This week has been so long, I don't remember. I think last week we did the pan pastels. And I did a cloud set cloud painting. I'm tired. Oh, it must be the end of the live stream. My tongue and mouth not working together. Neither is my brain. None of these things are cooperating. Yeah, I really liked them. That was the only, and I was surprised because you guys know I don't like pastels at all. It feels icky. I don't like it on my hand, but those, I liked those. Being able to paint with it was almost like palette knife painting, but cleaner or crisper. I don't know the word I'm looking for. Okay. Valerie said a black cat for Halloween maybe. I was thinking more of like a tabby color so that I could get like the different colors would be kind of fun, but a black cat would be good too. I don't know if I'll do that with colored pen. Oh, actually, that would be cool. I did the Black Panther or the Black Leopard. Was it a jaguar or was it a leopard? I don't remember now. I think it was a leopard. And I loved doing the black fur that way. So maybe one of each. Maybe one for Halloween and then another one in another medium. That is not a terrible idea. Have I tried pastel mat? Not yet. I need to order some. That I actually will order soon. I'm not going to wait till... I don't have to wait for that one because that's not too bad on the budget like a full set of pencils. But you guys have said you loved it, so I definitely want to try that. I'm almost tempted to order that and do my pastel project on that instead of the sanded paper. What do you guys recommend? Like, because I want to do a bigger project, like maybe 16 by 20 or 11 by 14, I don't know, something bigger than what I did last week on the live stream. But I'd like to do a big project. Would you recommend my first time doing a full like big pan pastel project? Would you go with the sanded paper or would you go with the pastel mat? Knowing what you know about how I work, let me know what you recommend. Mara Black said, how do you handle people at a larger type gathering from turning into art commission discussion without hurting feelings and wanting to stay friends with the host? What do you mean? I usually, for me, when people bring up commissions and such, I just give them my card. Here's my website. My prices are there. Everything's there. And that's it. I kind of leave it there. Usually that's enough. Like, oh, just go check it out, especially if it's something that you feel like you don't really want to charge your family or friends. Like, oh, here's my website. Go check out what I do. And usually I can kind of chop off that conversation right there if it's not something I want to talk about. If it's friends where you don't want to charge a friend, I just do that because I also am not just going to do a bunch of stuff for free for people because I've had friends full on take advantage of me with that like a couple of times. And I am not doing that again. Percy said, Faber-Castell has a really cool watercolor pencils. Yeah, I'm definitely going. Those are on my soon to buy list. Donna votes for a Chihuahua. Oh, they're so cute. I love their ears. Alex, whoops, there we go. go. Alex said, why color pencil manufacturers make the cores so thick when those cores get sharpened down to a fine point? Isn't that a waste of pencil? Well, no. I don't know. I don't have an answer for that one. I never really thought about it, honestly. If it's too thin, it's just going to snap and break. But like I mean, I guess you could, if somebody made like, I'm trying to think, like mechanical pencil colored pencils. I don't know what the solution would be there. It has to be a certain thickness, otherwise it does break. But some people, okay, Ursi says pastel matte. Some people will use a razor blade, and that will help the pencil to stay longer. Or I've got sanded paper where you can sand, or like a little sand block, you can sand it down to a fine point without losing the thickness there. So there are ways that you can keep that core sharp without like wasting pencil. Gail said, what is the best way to share my photography with you for a reference photo consideration? My email. If you look up my email, I'm trying to think, we're on... I don't want to announce it because then I get flooded with spam. If you write something in our art group or somewhere asking somebody, go to my website, contact artist, and I'll email you back. I think there's something there that I'll have to double check. I'm trying to think how's the best way. I mean, I guess I could say it because it's not being typed, so spammers shouldn't find it. My email is lisa@lachri.com, so that's pretty easy. I don't know what I'm thinking. See, my brain shut down because if you type that anywhere on a website, spammers find it and they're like, we're gonna flood you with more spam. So there's only so many inappropriate emails one can get without losing their mind. But lisa@lachri.com. My brain is just fried. I am not thinking. So this gives you a pretty good idea. So far, it looks like the layering is going to be good with these. It looks like, I suspect I'm going to be able to get this pretty smooth, even with sloppy layers, very much like with Pro Color. And that's one of the things I really liked with Pro Color. Anytime I can be sloppy and move through something faster, I like that than having to do little tiny, those slow circles. So I'm so far liking this. I am not thrilled with the lack of some of the colors in the set. I do wish there were more colors available. Like, I really would have rather had more that ranked a 2 on the ASTM scale than only 1 and gotten more colors. But I can also respect if they're just trying to like separate themselves from other color pencil manufacturers and say ours are the most light fast, like the top of the, like I do get that too. And I'm really looking forward to when more colors are available for sure. I so hope there's a bright pink. Some colored pencil manufacturer needs to make a nice bright hot pink for flowers that is light fast. It's like my biggest request. Now I've got the nice purple. I just need the hot pink. Lonnie, oh, that's right. Lonnie has 10 cats and 6 kittens. I forgot about that. Lonnie's the one, she made a wood crate and delivered it and everything for my dog crate. And it has this beautiful table. The table you see me taking the really pretty pictures with the white background, with like the white wood background. She made the base of that with the wood. I just stained it. She did all the hard work. So she's got lots of cats in her workshop. Margene Burns said, I am just finishing the second version of my friend's Russian blue cat. Those are so pretty. The photo coloring made it look brownish red, so that's what I did, but the different photo showed the gray slate. Yeah, they definitely have more. The photo, you've got to watch that with pet portraits too. I've done that before. Actually, one of the times I did, I think I might have talked to you guys about this last week. I did it was 2 weeks ago I did the pastels. That's right, last week was the critique. But I did a corgi. The reference photo was amazing, and it's a corgi, so adorable. But I did a painting of him, and the computer monitor that I was working on skewed the actual color. It looked more, I forget if it looked more red to me or if it looked more yellow. I was one side to the other too far, and it's because the computer screen I was looking at. So the owner was like, can you change the color a little bit, because it's not really the color of my dog. And that's obviously my fault. I've got to fix, and it was an easy fix. You just glaze the color to tint it, so it was no problem to change. But my color, my computer was showing me the wrong color. So, and you get that sometimes with photographs, so you want to make sure if it's a specific breed that's known, like a Russian blue is known for a very specific color, you definitely want to watch that. I'm trying to think, there's some other animals that have like really specific colors that you would want to make sure were really accurate, and especially if it's a commission one. So yeah, you got to watch for that. Itchy nose. Pokeball Queen said, what do you do to the outlines when you're working on canvas? I can't overpaint the lines. Whenever I use graphite, I can't rub it out. I don't use graphite. Unless I'm working in an oil paint, then I can use graphite. Those go away. But with acrylics, I don't use a regular graphite. You can use a water-soluble graphite, though. That will rub out all of the way. But usually with acrylics, the way that I layer it, and if you look up my video, it went up sometime in like a month ago, intro to acrylic painting, like your first acrylic painting project. It's a fish. I show you on that one how I paint the whole background, and then I use tracing and transfer paper to transfer my drawing onto the canvas, and I get a white line that's not done in graphite. So that is how I typically, I'll use like a white charcoal pencil if I painted the whole background. Let's say I did a whole underwater scene, like even this. Let's say I painted the whole thing purple, and now I want to draw in the draft. I can either use a white graphite pencil or white charcoal. Generals makes one that I really like, or I will use the transfer paper that I'll draw out my project in graphite on a piece of tracing paper, and then you position that, because it's a tracing paper, I can position it anywhere I want to get it perfectly lined up on my artwork, and then I use transfer paper to transfer it on. But I don't use graphite transfer paper because, like you said, those lines, they just always show. So those are my tips for that. Or if you're drawing, like if I wanted to draw out the draft first and then paint around it or whatever, then I'm going to use a water-soluble graphite. And Jenny said, thank you for testing these out. I think I will purchase them now, even though, that's scroll too far. Even though they have a limited palette, I was going to wait. Yeah, I was going to wait too. I was thinking, honestly going in, I'm like, I want to be honest. But I hate being like, oh, here's your new product you worked so hard on, but I don't like it. I mean, I would say that if that were true. But I was thinking that was going to be a problem for me. But the fact that these purples that are on my hands right now, these pencils alone, and I mean, if those are the only pencil colors you want, I'll test out the others. We'll see if there's anything else that's super amazing. But these colors alone make it so worth it to me. Now, they will be available open stock, I'm sure. All of Derwent's products are, so you could get just these if you wanted to wait until the rest of the colors come out. But I'm really encouraged that... I do wish there were more red. There's not a good red. There is a orangey red, but it's not going to give you like that true red. There's not deep blues, but these violets are amazing. So yeah, I can definitely see why someone, after using this, why even with a limited palette, it would still be worth picking up. At least get these pencils, because, these ones, the violet, Nightshade, and blue violet. So I haven't used Nightshade yet. Nightshade's what's going to go on top of this. It's going to be really dark. So yeah, I'm pretty happy about these. Thanks, Pokeball Queen. Megan said, yeah, I got trapped in the back door by one brown snake staring at me once. Is it possible to do a nice, funny snake collage of sorts? I don't know if I'm going to. Although, there's those bright green ones that are stunning. I think Jason Morgan did one. It was so pretty. That I'd be tempted to paint just because those colors are amazing. I don't dislike snakes, but they're not, like, super interesting to me as far as painting all that. I can think of times wrapped around a branch that could be very interesting and pretty. I don't know about a collage, though. Let's see. Andy said, how do these compare to the Derwent Pro Color? So far, they're kind of similar, other than these being more light fast. The Pro Color are going to be more opaque. These definitely, I mean, right now this is semi-translucent, but I don't have a lot of pigment on the paper. The fact that this blended out this much with how little pigment I have is pretty impressive. This looks sketchier. What you're seeing looks more rough than what I'm seeing. Like, this is actually a lot softer. That on camera looks like a really harsh big blob, which I'm not seeing in person. The live stream camera, the webcams pick up weird things. But it's smooth, and so for like my next layers, I'm really excited to see how this goes. But until I finish it, I can't really say too much. This is just first layer in, which never looks good anyway, and it's not terrible. I don't like how light this is. This is all going to have to get darkened up a lot. It's going to take a lot of layers to get smooth, and my goal is going to be to make this smooth and then have the trees in the background. But for a first layer of just laying the pigment down, I'm not unhappy. I would be, if I did this again, I would be a little bit more careful because there are some harsh lines that I'm going to have to fight to, I think, a little bit too extreme. I think if I had gotten more pigment on the paper first, I was kind of rushing that for the live stream. If I would have spent a little bit more time, got maybe 2 more layers of pigment on the paper and then blended, I think the results would have been even way, way smoother. This doesn't hurt. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to let it dry and then put the layers on top. So it's not a bad thing that it's not as dry as I want, but I mean, it'll be fine. But yeah, as far as comparing the two, right now it's a little hard to do The fact that these are all Lightfast is a big deal. But then again, 39 pencils out of the Pro Color are Lightfast, so this is only 36. So I guess when you compare as far as that goes, I don't know. We'll see. But we'll see with the whole thing when everything is finished. I'm so far really impressed. Color pigmentation, beautiful. Color is super saturated. It's a little bit more saturated what you're seeing, and it's a little bit more blue what you're seeing on camera than what I'm seeing, but it's really good color saturation. It's blended. I mean, for how little pigment, I used the worst techniques on being sloppy and things that I would normally tell students don't do what I just did. I'm going to be able to, I'm pretty sure this is going to blend out smoothly. I'm pretty impressed with these pencils so far, so that's good. And then of course, the amount, 3 shades of purple that are that good, that's exciting to me. There's some really nice greens, lots of browns, lots of the creams and neutral tones. So like this set, you'd have no problem doing a portrait with, as far as colors go. I don't know with blending and all that. We haven't gotten that far yet, but I'm interested to try them for a portrait to see how the skin tones blend. If it's, you know, because it's an oil base. I don't typically like oil-based pencils for drawing the skin tones. Like, it's not my favorite. It can be done. It's just not my favorite. I like my wax-based pencils better. So it'll be interesting to see as I use them a bit more and get some more information on them. Megan said, I think I'm going to start saving for these Lightfast pencils definitely after this. Yeah, I don't blame you. These are, I kind of went into this thinking, what, you know, there's only so many colors. What's the point? You've got, if most people have polychromos already. Oops, memory card's full. That's good. I stopped working anyway, so you can stop. But no, I mean, I can see why someone would still want this set. There's some nice neutral colors. Those purples. Oh my gosh, they're amazing. Almost looks like a moon behind it, but it kind of does. I could do that. I could change my mind to make it a moon. But then it would change my lighting completely, because then he would need to be backlit, and that's not what this one's going to be, but ooh, that would look kind of cool, huh? Okay, I'm going to stay with my original plan with trees and fireflies, but I like that idea. It does look like that. Gail said, I have a graphite portrait of Buster Keaton on a large hot press matte board, and I'm ready to seal it. What should I use to knock out the shine? There's a matte finish that I have, Krylon. It's okay. I've heard there are better ones, but that's the one that I have. It doesn't completely get rid of the shine. I've not used anything that completely got rid of shine with graphite. Usually when you work, you have to work with the way that you layer, as far as how hard you're pushing, that you're not burnishing, or what ends up being technically polishing it. That will create shine, but that matte finish does help to an extent. It's not 100% perfect. And a lot of when you really don't want the matte shine, from what I've experienced, is just being careful with your application in the first place. But on the flip side, the matte, or the shine, has never really bothered me that much. I know it bothers some artists, and the only thing that I don't like it for is it's harder to photograph if there's shine, but it's never really bothered me if portions of a graphite drawing had shine. I didn't even know that was a thing to be bothered by until a few years ago, when I saw people complaining on their own work. Like one artist who's amazing, I remember he'd done something and he trashed it because he was starting to get shine. And I was like, I would never do that. Like, I thought it was amazing. I don't care if there's shine. It still looks amazing. So, but the matte spray varnish by Krylon I need to do some more research, because I have heard there are better ones that do a better job of getting rid of the matte, or the shine. Massey said, talking of Jason Morgan, after watching him for a while, I went out this week and blew $300 on pastels and sanded paper. I'm working on my first painting as I'm watching you. That's cool. Tag me in it. I want to see what you're doing. I love Instagram tagging, because if you use that hashtag Lachri Live or just hashtag Lachri, I love that you can follow tags now on Instagram. So like, I follow Adeniums, a type of plant that I love. I follow that hashtag because you get to see anytime anyone uses that hashtag, it comes up, even if it's not someone you follow, or it's really cool. So use those hashtags. I want to see. Ursi said it looks phenomenally, wow, I can't say that apparently. Phenomenal. Either way, the layers look neat. More layers look neat. I can't read anymore. I think I'm done for the night. Still looks pretty. Thank you. Mishi Fine Art said, best markers to use if you need to use marker. I use acrylics and polychromos. Well, use marker for what? My favorite marker are the Winsor & Newton pigment markers, although I just did a Smart Art box with, if you like an oil base, they have a strong smell, so be warned. But an oil-based marker where you blend out with Gamsol or with odorless mineral spirit, that was amazing. That was one of my favorite markers. That one now, and the Winsor & Newton pigment would be my favorite too. But the oil marker was more like painting. It was really interesting. But I did a video, it's a Smart Art box video that went up yesterday. Skip if you just want to skip to the art part. It's like 19 minutes and it starts. Pokeball Queen said, do you plan on doing a Harry Potter themed painting or drawing? That would be really cool. If I did, it would have to be like hint of Harry Potter stuff, because they're really, you know, they can be pretty strict on copyright stuff, and I don't want to get in trouble for uploading something like that and have a copyright strike against my channel. So it's not, I don't know if they promote fan or are like cool with fan art. I'd have to look into it, because some companies are cool with it and some aren't. I know Harry Potter, the people who made, like, they went after people who were having Harry Potter themed, or even not a Harry Potter theme, magic theme, but had Harry Potter characters. Fairs, like little like Renaissance type fairs, but they were doing it, and a lot of people were dressing up that worked there as Harry Potter, and they were having like Algon Alley or whatever it's called. They were having a bunch of those things, and they got in trouble and told they could not use those names anymore. They couldn't use those terms. So I don't know if they would go after YouTubers at any point for making artwork based off of it. So I don't want to mess with that. They don't seem super like, and maybe there was something different going on with those not just conventions. They were like Renaissance fairs, but for like magic themed things. So I don't know that they're so friendly with that sort of thing. Let's see. Benjamin said, can't wait for the final result. Have you tried burnishing technique with those colored pencils? I've not tried hardly anything with these yet. Tonight was my very first time trying anything, so I will have to do a quick test with that before I do the full review. Mara Black said, as usual, this is super informative and fun. Yay! Have a good night, and please say hello to studio assistants and Chicken and Nugget. I will. I need to go visit all of them now. Benjamin said, what are your favorite colored pencils? I use normally a combination. If it was based on performance alone, I would say the Derwent Pro Color. But because only, just over half are Lightfast, I would say that kind of bumps them down on the list. So if I'm going to count stuff that I'm going to do in like professional work, then I combine Luminance and the Derwent or the Faber-Castell Polychromos together. Those two together are my favorite. I wouldn't want to choose just one. I really like the combination of the two. Donna said, I will tag you now on Instagram. Thank you. Yay. Megan said, I composed a track, Moths to a Flame, was thinking it would work for making a great color pencil compared to I was thinking it would make a great CP picture compared to graphite used with beautiful moths flying around and luminance. That sounds cool. That does sound cool. Okay, so it is 10:17. My back is done. It does not want me sitting here anymore, so I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you guys so much for joining tonight, and I hope this helped you guys decide if these were decent. This does look smoother in person. Once I get the background done, I'll post a photo on Instagram and probably Twitter, maybe Facebook. Usually I only post finished stuff on Facebook, but definitely Instagram will have in progress stuff. So we'll get a better idea of how smooth this really got as I kept layering. But I have high hopes for this pencil. I'm pretty excited about it right now. But I will see you guys again next week. I don't know if it will be continuing this or if it'll be something new. Don't forget to check out our moderators' channels. Links are in the video description, and I will see you later. Bye.